This is case number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Lopez versus Gonzalez. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Lopez, you and the defendant have a child together. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is your complaint that the defendant had you arrested on false charges of assault, domestic violence, and you want to be compensated for that. And in addition, you want a home entertainment center that you say was yours, that is in the defendant's home. The defendant says that the home entertainment center was a gift. You did, in fact, assault her, and she is counterclaiming for her injuries.
I don't have nothing. He took everything.
Defendant says the home entertainment center was a gift. Do you still have it?
No, he took everything.
She doesn't have it. And that you did, in fact, assault her. And her counterclaim is for the injuries that she suffered during the course of this assault, which occurred around Christmas time. Is that right?
Christmas Day.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lopez. Were you living with the defendant at the time that you were arrested?
I was moving out. I was in the moving out.
He was already a week out.
I'm going to get to you in a minute, but don't interrupt him. What do you mean you were in the process of moving out? What does that mean?
The day after Thanksgiving, we had a really big argument and we had broken up. So we made an agreement by no later than the first week of January that I had to have everything of mine moved out and be completely moved out. I was staying between there, like a few days if I babysitted my son, or I stood at my best friend's house or my mother's house.
So most of the time you weren't living there?
Yes.
All right. So tell me about Christmas Day. You came over to the house?
What happened was we agreed to meet up at my best friend's house. We picked up my son and her son, her other child, and we agreed to go back to her house, to her apartment, and open up the children's gifts together. And from there, when we arrived at the home, we opened the gifts. She asked me to stay a little bit longer while she took a shower so I could watch the children. I agreed. At that time, I received a phone call from my fiancée on my fiancée's cell phone, just before she went to the bath to take a shower. At that time, I was speaking to her. I explained to her what time I was going to be finished. I explained to her that she was going to take a shower and I was going to meet up with her right after. At that time, she began screaming, saying stuff that didn't need to be said over the phone for my fiancé to hear. So at that time, I said, why are you acting up? You know what? I'm not going to stay. I'm leaving. She began an argument. I tried to leave. I had my son in my arms with the cell phone. She wouldn't let me leave. So I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm leaving my son. I put my son down in the crib. At that time, I dropped the cell phone in the crib without knowledge when I put my son down. I tried to leave. She blocked the doorway. I kept on explaining to her, move, move. I want to leave. I'm not staying. I'm out. She didn't want to let me. So then I barged through. She had her arms spread out against the doorway, holding me, not letting me go. So when I barged through so I could leave, she scratched her arm. So I left. When I got outside, I went to go call my fiancé.
That is not even
And
true.
when I got downstairs,
Ms. Gonzalez, I don't want to hear it's not true again. Do you understand?
No problem.
No, that's not an answer. The answer is yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
That's right. Go ahead.
So outside, I went to make an attempt to call my fiancé, and I noticed I didn't have the phone. So when I went back upstairs,
That was stupid.
because the phone was upstairs,
That was stupid.
I went and I looked for the phone.
Say yes, that was stupid.
Yes, it was stupid. So I asked her if she
I
had
mean,
the
you'd
cell
just
phone.
gotten out of the house, you pushed her, she scratched her arm, according to you. You leave the cell phone and you go. You don't go back into a confrontational area, sir. That's stupid, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, so you go back upstairs. What happened when you went back upstairs?
When I got upstairs, I asked her, did she have the cell phone? She says, I don't have it. So as I looked through the house, I remembered I had it in my hand when I put my son down. When I looked into the crib, my son wasn't in the crib. I went and found my cell phone under the sheet. Again, I attempted to leave. Again, she blocked my way. I said, just move, then move. At that time, she told me she had called the cops and I was going to be arrested. I said, well, I'm leaving. And outside the door, a lady, which I had never seen before in this building for the whole year I was living there, had my son. As I attempted to take my son from the lady, 2 female officers were coming upstairs.
What were you taking your son from the lady for?
I didn't know the lady. If I don't know the person, I don't want nobody I don't know having my son in my hands. I don't know what they'll do. So the 2 officers were downstairs. They came, and they brought us all into the apartment, me, her, and the 2 kids. While we were in the apartment, the officers explained because this domestic problem, they were going to arrest both of us. At that time, they would take both children and put them in child custody. I said, I'm not pressing no charges. I don't want nothing. I just want to go home. My son can stay. I have no problem. At that time, the female officer told me to stand by the door, don't move. So at that time, there was a knock at the door. 2 more officers came. 2 male officers now. We go back inside. She's in there screaming. Next thing you know, all I hear is her mother screaming at me, "Jason, I wouldn't do this to you." And she said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "What's going on?" The officer said, "Turn around," and they handcuffed me. Later, when I was taken down to central booking for arrest, I was informed of the charges. It was assault, assault with weapon, child endangerment. They said I put a knife to my son's back. At no time did I ever touch a knife to grapple against my son. Because of that, I had charges of an ACS for attempted on my child, and
All right, you were held in jail for 2 days, is that right?
for, yeah, almost 2 days.
days.
I called my fiance.
All right, the charges were subsequently dismissed when you decided to drop all charges against each other, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you see your son now so regularly?
No,
Why not?
I still can't because she won't let me see my son.
Uh-huh.
It's a struggle for me to see my son.
All right.
And every time we went to family court for me to get a chance to see my son, she made false charges, knowing I was going to get visitation of my son, that I'm arrested.
Okay. I'd like to see first the medical bills that you have as a result of this incident on Christmas Day.
I didn't get to get the medical bills because this happened so quick that I didn't get a chance to get them. So I have my pictures.
Let me see all the papers you have. All the papers.
Your Honor, Judy.
Shh, just a minute.
I have a scar on my left hand.
Just a minute.
And the lady that
Just a
called,
second. These scratches are what you're talking about?
Yeah, I had a scratch.
All right.
I had a hairline fracture in my left hand.
Don't tell me you had a hairline fracture without any medical bills, without reports. Don't tell me about a hairline fracture.
Excuse me, Judge.
I'll get to you in a minute.
Thank you.
I have a few questions for Ms. Gonzalez. The police officer who took this report took your statement, is that right?
Yes, and on the statement,
I'm speaking. The police officer who took the report took your statement, and he read the statement to you, is that right?
yes, he did.
And after he read the statement, he asked you if it was accurate, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And you said it was accurate, is that right?
That's right.
And you signed it.
Yes.
And you wouldn't have left out anything vitally important, is that right?
No.
So I'm going to read what you wrote in the statement.
I didn't write that. The officer.
What the I don't care whether you wrote it or the officer wrote it. I just asked you whether he read it to you and whether you signed it. You said yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Lopez says ex-girlfriend Suhey Gonzalez had him falsely arrested for domestic abuse. Suhey claims Jason slammed her hand in a door and held a knife to their son's throat.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm going to read what you wrote in this police report. It says, at the time and place listed above, the perpetrator, that's him, who was the victim's common-law husband, did grab the victim by her throat, choked her, at which time he forced her left hand between the door and the wall and repeatedly slammed the door on the victim's hand, causing substantial pain and swelling to the victim's left hand. That's what this says, okay? Now I'm going to tell you what you wrote in your answer. When I told him to leave, he grabbed our son and tried to take him. When I tried to stop him, he pulled a knife out and held it to my son's neck. He said, if you don't let me take him, I'll kill both of us.
No, they didn't write it in the police.
They wrote nothing about a knife threatening to kill himself,
Exactly.
threatening to kill this
Yes.
child. You know why they didn't write that down? Because you didn't tell them that.
Is that you?
No. Because you didn't tell them that.
All right,
at the
I
time.
didn't tell them exactly at the time.
Right, at the
Because they had
time-
me in a separate room.
Hey.
They had him outside.
Just a second. At the time, you didn't tell them that he took out a knife, he held it to the baby's throat, he threatened to kill the baby. You told them that he hurt your hand and your hand was in pain, not that he threatened to kill your child. You made that up later.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
Oh, no, I did
Oh,
not.
yes, you
They
did.
knew that he was the one. Can I say something
yeah,
now?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
In that
you did.
police report, the lady signed, she's the one who signed right next to the statement, not me. Because I didn't call the cops because he broke my phone, and that's why. I didn't call the cops. The lady from my building called the cops. She's the one who had both of my kids because my oldest was crying. She's the one who called the cops.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to call the cops.
Here we go.
Because he wanted to take my son, just like he took my son 3 weeks ago.
Let me explain
and
to you
kidnapped
what
my son.
got you angry, Miss Gonzalez. I've been in this business a long time. He's at your house. According to your answer, he told you a couple of weeks before or a month before, he didn't
December
want to have, I'm
17th.
speaking, that he didn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. He had a new girlfriend. Clearly, he has a new girlfriend. All right?
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. He comes over to your house, right? According to your answer, you open up the Christmas presents together. It's all a nice family situation. You ask him to watch the kids while you go take a shower. This is what you write here. When you come out of the shower, you hear him on the phone with his girlfriend. I'm not saying that that's what happens to her. I'm saying that that's what she wrote in her answer. That makes one very angry.
Of course.
Of course. Of course that makes you very angry because there you're here with him, with a new baby. He's taking care of the baby's presents. He's in your house Christmas time, and he's going to say goodbye to you, and he's going to go to girlfriend number...
And it was just a week that we had broken up.
Fine. So you're really angry. The knife was a nice touch. He wasn't arrested with a knife. He wasn't arrested with a knife.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
And
you know what I'm
happened.
talking about.
And I know what happened.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what happened. Because he tried to take my son. He tried to take my son.
Just a second. What do you mean?
That's how... Who called my
Hey,
mother?
Miss
Who called my
Gonzalez.
mother? The lady?
Miss Gonzalez.
That called the cops?
Miss Gonzalez. Is he the father?
Yes, he's the father. And I'm not saying that
I'm
he's not.
speaking. Is he the father?
Yes.
Then you have no greater right to this child than he does.
But
Duh.
he kidnapped my son for
Duh.
3 weeks.
You can't kidnap your own child unless there's an order
This
of
is
custody.
recently. We've been going through this. I just want to go on with my
What
life.
I'm
I want
telling
him
you-
to go on with his life. If he wants to
Listen.
see his son, he's more than welcome to see his son.
Miss
I have nothing
Gonzalez,
wrong with that.
these-
But
I'm
you cannot see
speaking.
his son
I'm
because
going
he
to
had
say
order
1, 2, 3.
protection.
Then they're going to put you out. When you claim that you were severely assaulted, and the best picture that you can come up with is a picture showing me 2 scratches on your arm, 2 scratches. That's what they are. No hairline fracture, no hospital records, no, well, all right. This was an argument. And unfortunately, because the police take domestic violence seriously, as they should, they got to arrest somebody.
And I lost my securities license.
Mr. Lopez, you do not get an A+ for smarts. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get an A+ for going back for a $39.99 cell phone after you have already had an altercation with her, and you were out of the problem. You were outside.
Because he never
You
went
go.
outside.
Excuse me?
Because he never went outside. That's
Because
why.
you wouldn't let him go outside, Miss
No,
Gonzalez,
because he was
you
trying
were
to kidnap
so
my
angry.
son. He was trying to take my son. And he's devious like that, that he would take my son and leave. Just like he did 3 weeks ago. And that's why he was going to get rearrested. I had to get the cops to come get my son from his house.
You keep saying my son.
Because he's my son. Because he don't pay no child support. He doesn't do nothing.
What do you do for a
he
living?
He hasn't done
Shh.
nothing.
What do you do for a living?
I was working.
What do you do for a living now?
Nothing.
Who supports the child?
I do.
No, not if you're not working. You get welfare?
Yes, I do.
If you get welfare, then I support your son. You think I should take him?
Yeah, but I was
Just a
working.
second, just a second. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He doesn't support his child, and you don't support your child. I support your child. So that mean that I should get custody? Don't be ridiculous. Pardon, Ms. Gonzalez. You keep saying, it's my child. He's taking my child. He's entitled to see his child. It doesn't sound to me like he's too bright.
just stopped working,
because he went
so-
from this child, you're going to have another child? You keep rubbing your belly, right?
Yes.
You got enough trouble with one. You're going to make another one? How
Yep.
many more do you have?
There's the only one. The only one coming.
In any event, I read the police report. I read the police report that doesn't talk about a knife to the throat, threatened to kill the child, threatened to kill anybody, and I see 2 scratches on your arm. You also, sir, yeah, you want to play that for me?
Yes, I even have an
Go
audio tape
ahead,
of
let
her
me hear
saying-
it.
But I still can't get over the fact why you had me arrested.
Because I was just upset. Things were going through my mind. I'm admitting I'm sorry.
Oh, so you're admitting that you did get me arrested?
This is why he
because
was-
of this chick, because I was with another chick?
No, it wasn't only because of that. It was because of a lot of things, Jason.
Oh, okay. But then why did you tell him I punched you in your face? I choked the out of you?
No, I didn't say that.
Gigi, the DA said that in the court.
Mr. Lopez, I didn't even have to listen to that. I mean, I've heard this, I've been around this business now for 27 years, right?
Yes.
And I know, when I read your papers, I see her affect, right?
Yeah.
And I know exactly what happened. That doesn't mean that you were smart, A, as I said, to go back to the cell phone, B, to get a telephone call from your girlfriend. Tell your girlfriend, don't call me until I call you. I don't want to create any more problems with her. I'm going to open presents with the children. Don't call me. That creates a problem.
We had already opened the gifts. This was around the time I was getting ready to leave.
She shouldn't have called you, and you shouldn't have spoken to her. Say, this is a tacky problem. I don't want there to be any problem with her. Don't call me. I'll be there. I'll be home when I'm home. And the reason she called is because it's a little territorial. She's not so happy either. You're going over to visit mother number one. She's going to be mother number two. You know, you got to be
She
smart.
wasn't pregnant at the time.
2 months later. Wow,
Now
big
she
difference.
is. Now she is. Right? And on your security job, you can hardly afford to pay for yourself.
I don't have work.
Listen to me, sir. When you had a security job, you could hardly afford to pay for one child. Now you're going to have two. Did you pay for a lawyer? No. They gave you a free lawyer.
Yes.
You spent a couple of days in jail.
Yes.
You shouldn't have.
And so did I, because he falsely arrested me.
For what?
He said that I made phone harassment. On June 30th, he called me. I have the phone records for that. He called me with my own phone card that he rung up. He falsely arrested me on June 31st. I got arrested. I made the report on June 30th. As soon as the time right after he called me and called them and let them know that he was calling me and harassing me. And he called me with my own phone card. And right after that, he calls his girlfriend and his mother.
No. No.
Ms. Gonzalez, your counterclaim is for the assault that you claim he perpetrated on you
And
on
forced
Christmas
arrest.
Day.
It says it on the paper.
And according to your complaint, you are filing for injuries and damages due to the alleged assault. Okay? You do say somewhere in your answer that he filed false charges, but the damages you are requesting are for the assault. And I don't find that he assaulted you, so your counterclaim is dismissed. The only thing that I have to consider now is whether there was an argument and whether, as a result of false statements that you made and continue to make and continue to embellish to the police.
Not me,
Betty,
because
I'm
I wanna go on with my
speaking.
life. He's the one
I'm
who brings me here.
speaking.
He, for what?
He brought you here
For
because
what?
you.
He keeps calling me and harassing me.
Listen to me. He's known you a long time. I've met you now for about 15 minutes, and I don't think he's crazy. And I wouldn't precipitate phone calls and contact with you because I think that you're an angry lady. I think that you feel as if he jilted you, that he left you high and dry with your baby, and now he's got somebody else. All of those things, doesn't pay child support, you're not working, but that doesn't give you the right to have him arrested and make false allegations, which I believe that you did, and I'm awarding him $1,000 on his claim. That's all. By the way, she doesn't have your entertainment center.
Yes, she
That's
does.
all.
Your Honor, when we went there, the officers
Goodbye.
explained.
All right, here's our excuse. You may step out. Yes.
And now the next case.
All parties on Williams versus Hume. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Jennifer Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old student Michael Hume, for attorney's fees, money loaned, and for kicking down her door.
Miss Williams, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. I gather you were arrested on some sort of a warrant from when you were a juvenile. Is that right?
Probation violation.
And at that time, according to you, Miss Williams, he's in jail, and you loaned him some money to buy some socks and other toothpaste, I guess, combs,
Yes, ma'am.
shaving stuff. That wasn't a lot of money. How much was it?
$200.
Did he ask you for that money?
He asked for the money to be put in his account. I said I would do it as long as he paid me back.
Did you say that to him?
Yes, I did.
You remember that?
Not at all. I don't.
Do me a favor, don't laugh.
Sorry.
Did she put any money into your account?
Yes, she did.
How much?
She did 200.
How did she know you needed money in your account?
Well, I made phone calls.
And what did you say?
I said that we have commissary and I would like some money, and she sent me money. Some of that money, I was under the understanding that some of that money came out of one of my paychecks when I was working security before I was incarcerated.
Did you have any paychecks of his that he got after?
No, ma'am. None of the money that was put into his commissary account came out of his paycheck. That all came out of my paychecks.
Where was his paycheck?
You have any-
At Sandy's house, who was his employer at the time. It was at her house.
So you never got his
No,
paycheck?
ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about the lawyer, because that's a much bigger bill. You say that you paid for his lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was that?
Well, I had thought it was $1,100. I have the receipts. It says it was $1,200.
But you sued for 11.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. Tell me how come you paid for his lawyer?
I went to go see him in jail. It was originally understood he was going to get a court-appointed lawyer. Then he had called me and said he didn't want a court-appointed lawyer, that he had wanted a real lawyer. And then the next day when I had gone to see him in jail, I told him I would pay for the lawyer as long as he paid me back when he got out of jail.
A lot of that is false.
Just tell me the story, sir.
Okay.
And try standing up straight and looking at me.
Sorry.
Good.
Now,
looking at me.
basically,
I'm not there. I'm here.
okay, sorry. I told both her and her mother that I was fine with a court-appointed lawyer. I didn't agree to pay them back at all. I also, it was never in writing or anything. I'd never said that. It was just never said. I was just under the understanding that she was paying for my lawyer to be nice because she loved me, blah, 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 you know.
There's a lot there to love.
Thanks.
Well, if you didn't want her to pay for your lawyer and if you were just as happy with the public defender, why didn't you just say to the lawyer when the lawyer came to see you in jail, I have a lawyer, thank you very much, I don't need a lawyer?
Well, I didn't have a court-appointed lawyer yet.
So you had no lawyer and you're sitting in jail?
Not yet. I hadn't.
Just pay attention.
Okay.
You had no lawyer and you're sitting in jail. How old are you?
19.
Had you been in jail before?
Yes.
For how long?
Around 2 months.
Did you know her then?
No, no, I did not.
When you met him, had you known that he had spent some time in jail?
The first time I met him was when we were both working at Friendly's. I didn't find out he was in jail then until the 3rd week we knew each other. We weren't dating yet.
But then you found out that he had been incarcerated. Did you know what for?
Over the months we had dated, he had explained things. All I knew is that he had a probation violation, possession of marijuana, possession of a controlled substance, eluding the police. The list goes on and on.
You're still on probation?
No.
So you're not drug screened anymore, is that
No.
right?
Correct.
How did I know that?
You're really intelligent.
You're really right. What else?
Well, as far as him for telling you that he had never said he would pay me back, my witness was there at the time. She is my mother. She was in the room with us when he said it.
Let me hear you. Miss Williams?
Yes.
Let me hear what you heard. Where were you first?
We were in the lawyer's office. His father had mentioned, I'm not going to pay for your lawyer. And Michael had said, I will pay you back.
So you were all sitting together?
Yes. And the first time we had talked about the lawyer, I had gone with my daughter to see him in jail. And he said, don't worry, Ma, I'll pay you back when I get out of jail and I get a job.
Is that what he called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What else?
He put a hole in my door, my bedroom door, when we were fighting one night.
Forget it. Let me tell you something. Was this after he got out of jail?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
After he got out of jail, I wouldn't have let him back in my bedroom at all.
And I was very stupid to do so.
Fine. Then you pay for the door out of your own stupidity.
All right.
Where are you working now? What is that around your neck?
This? Necklaces.
One or more?
2.
What are they made out of?
Just aluminum and metal.
Where are you working now?
Right now, I'm actually not working. I'm applying, though, at various jobs.
Who are you living with?
I'm living with my friend.
This friend?
No, not this friend.
What kind of friend?
He restores cars.
What else does he do? Does he sell? Is he a business person?
No, not at all.
Does he sell anything
No.
other than restoring cars?
No,
No.
People want him to sell his car, but he won't do it.
I wasn't talking about cars necessarily. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may-
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Morrison versus McKinney. Step forward, please.
31-year-old office manager Carla Morrison is suing her former friend, 27-year-old retail salesperson Corey McKinney, for an unpaid cell phone bill. Corey has a countersuit claiming Carla vandalized his car.
Miss Morrison, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends, and there came a time when each of you wanted a cell phone. I know what happened with an uncle of yours. He agreed to get the cell phones for you, but the defendant's agreement with you was that he would pay his portion of the cell phone bill.
That is correct.
You claimed that he ran up a substantial bill on the cell phone, which he has not paid.
That is correct.
Now, the defendant, I read your answer, sir. You don't seem to dispute the fact that you ran up a substantial phone bill.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how much was the phone bill that he ran up?
His cost came up to $1,000.
Can I see that, please? Or total?
We initially got our phones in January. I believe I had Corey's phone disconnected towards the end of April, the beginning of May.
4 months.
Right, but his calls ran into like June and July.
Okay, so the bills are really in his name. This says total Nextel charges for Corey, right? On the bill it says for
I
Corey.
never seen the bill.
Well, we'll show it to you. Actually, it's $1,007.37.
Correct.
Because you had a phone that allowed you to make as many local calls as you wanted, but not long-distance calls?
Right. Corey's charges are more long distance than anything.
Corey, who do you talk to so much, sir?
I talk to people everywhere.
Where are most of your friends?
I was out of town then. I was out of town then.
You were out of town?
Yeah. And I was calling back.
Your defense to this action is that you did spend the money on jabbering away long distance, but that the plaintiff did damage to your car.
Yeah.
And the damage to your car is more than your long distance calls, right?
Yes.
That's your defense.
Yes.
So, show me. What kind of damage did she do to your car?
Cut my tires and put sugar in my tank.
Did you witness her doing that?
No,
Never look at me.
My witness, I have a witness here.
So the answer is you did not witness her doing that. But you have a witness who I'm prepared to hear. Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
Anthony McKinney.
Are you related?
Yeah, I'm his brother.
Now tell me what you observed on May 7th.
I was coming home from out playing basketball, and I seen her truck over there at the house when I was walking in the house. I really didn't see her really do it, but next morning I got up and he was outside going crazy. I was like, went over to see what was wrong. He said somebody had put sugar in my tank and cut the tires. I said, well, last night when I was coming home, I seen her over there and left the house. But I really didn't pay any attention to it because they were seeing each other off and on at the time, considering the phone bills and everything.
Sir, did you see her on May 7th?
I seen her the day before.
On May 6th?
May 7th.
Where did you see her?
He came over to the house.
To visit with you?
Yes. He said he seen her that night.
Shh. Sit down. Sit down, sir. Well, tell me about the conversation that you had with her on May 7th.
She talking about the phone bill.
And what did you say to her about the phone
I told her I wasn't going to pay the bill.
Did you tell her why?
But she had the phone turned off. I didn't even use it.
Well,
I never did see the bill. She never showed me the bill.
Now I'll hear you. You went over to his house on May the 7th?
I don't recall. I have talked to Corey numerous times on the phone, over our two-way radio pertaining to the bill. Corey has seen our Nextel bills. He left to go out of town. His thing was, I'll take care of it when I come back from Texas. Don't worry about it. Don't trip, Carla. You know, I'm not going to leave you out there like that. I'm going to pay the bill. I don't recall being at Corey's house on May 7th. It's a possibility, because I was at Corey's house plenty of times.
Did you slash his tires?
Of course not.
Did you put sugar in his gas tank?
Of course not. And me and Corey talked about this. He brought the damages up that I did to his car, and when I called him and asked him when was he going to pay his bill, and he said, I'm not. You had my phone shut off. I said, well, yeah, Corey, because the bill is at $1,300. He even called me when he was in Texas to say that I slashed his girlfriend's tires on her car as well. It's like, you know, Corey, I don't have time for this. I'm working 2 jobs. I don't have time to drive around town to look and vandalize Corey's vehicle.
Now, these phones, the bills were actually in your uncle's name?
The bill is in my uncle's name, but we are the sole responsible party.
I understand that, but the bills are in your uncle's name. If they were to sue somebody, they were going to sue your uncle.
Right.
Right? And your uncle knew that he was behind in the bills.
Right. He knew that he wasn't paying them.
But he wasn't paying them.
So where's our uncle?
There were other people, sir, who had a motive to do nasties to your car, right?
Yes, correct.
Those are only people that I know. Anybody else not like you, sir?
No.
You sure about that? Okay. You have
Where's our uncle at?
You have it, what?
Where's our uncle at? Shouldn't he be here?
No, why?
He signed for the phones.
So what? She's responsible because she promised her uncle that, despite the fact that the uncle signed for the phones, the two of you were going to be responsible. Duh. You still have the same girlfriend that you had in May?
No.
When did you break up with the May girlfriend?
In June.
In June? Well, June's pretty close to May. Had you been fighting with your girlfriend?
No.
You mean it just came on all of a sudden that you broke up with her?
Yeah. This
There may be somebody else that didn't like you.
It happened in May.
And when were her tires?
We was on good terms then.
You were on really good terms.
Good terms.
Oh, good terms. Well, Mr. McKinney, we may never find out who put sugar in your tank, sir. But we sure know who made all these phone calls. That was you. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount requested, $1,007.37. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Moeller versus Stevens. Step forward, please.
Commercial pilot Doug Moeller is suing his neighbors, Roger and Jackie Stevens, and their son, 17-year-old Brian. Doug says Brian purposefully damaged his daughter's bicycle. The Stevens are countersuing for the cost of a bike and damage to their screen door.
Mr. Motor, it is your claim that the defendant's son damaged your daughter's bike.
That's correct.
The defendant says that he caused no damage to the bike, and they are counterclaiming because they say that their daughter's bike was stolen from your backyard and it's your fault. B, that your son tore a hole in their screen door. You weren't there during this bike incident?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
I'd like you to sit down.
Okay.
And your children up here. Now, you weren't present either, is that right?
Correct.
So you can sit down, leaving the alleged perpetrator standing. When did this happen?
Around midsummer last year.
Tell me about the day.
We went over to see my cousin that we always play with.
You have to speak up because I can't hear you. Tell me your first name.
Timothy Moeller.
All right, Timothy, keep your voice up. You hear the way I'm talking?
Yeah.
Try to do it.
Okay.
Good. Okay, go ahead.
Brian started jumping up and down on the bike.
That's Brian.
Yeah.
What were you doing on the bike?
I was sitting on it. I've never seen a bike like that before, so I was testing out the shocks.
Testing out the shocks.
Right.
And how, Brian, were you testing out the shocks?
I bounced up and down on the seat a couple times and lifted the front tire off the ground about 2 inches and then let it go.
It was a girl's bike, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
It was a boy's bike.
Yeah.
Big or little?
It was big. It was a 20-inch.
Your Honor, could I give you a photograph of the bicycle as evidence?
Yes, I'd like to see it.
This is a photograph of the bicycle with a bicycle license, and it shows that these are actually children's bicycles. Quite a bit smaller than an adult would be riding.
Mm-hmm. Small?
I didn't think it was.
Small?
Okay.
Okay. Who told you you could get on the bike?
Nobody.
Can I see the wheel, please? How old are you?
17. I
So,
was 16
get a job
at
and
the time.
pay for the wheel. Wheel's all bent. Wheel's all bent. Would you step up, sir? Okay. We'll make very quick work of this part of the case. Your son got on a bike without permission, tested out the springs, didn't ride it the way it was supposed to be ridden, and they say as a result of that the wheel was broken. So?
Well, according to my witness, my daughter and my son, when he got off, it was still on the kickstand. She got back on it. She rode home on it. We felt that if he had done it, she would have went home. If she'd have done it right then, she'd have went home and told her father, hey, Brian just damaged my bike. But the story that we got is that the next day or so, he noticed the damage, came to the children and said, what happened to your bike? We're not sure. We think maybe when Brian was on it, you know, and so we just don't feel that he did it. It may have happened later. And,
Well, what you feel is irrelevant.
Okay.
Relevant facts are he got on a bike without permission. He was testing the shocks.
Okay.
He's a big boy. He jumped up and down. I mean, at least he's telling the truth. Now, when you went to ride the bike home, did you see anything different in riding the bike?
The bicycle wheel was rubbing up against the side of the bike.
And did you feel that before he had gotten on the bike to test it?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay, so now I need the bill. I mean, it's not malicious, it's not terrible, but you pay the bill. $106, is that what it cost?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now, let's get, what?
Your Honor, could I speak for just a second, please?
Sure.
What we've heard here is in a large part a fabrication. In fact, I'd like to call Michelle Stevens as a witness, if I could, please, Brian.
Second, sir, you just won your case. Why do you have to call
Well,
anything?
I know, but there's a little bit more than $106 involved here.
What?
It cost me $27 to file this in small claims court in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
And there was more damage to it than just the wheel. The handlebar extensions were damaged, the pedals were damaged, the bicycle seat was torn up.
But I asked for the bill to fix
Yeah,
it.
you got the bill.
You
That's
got
correct.
the bill,
Yes, ma'am.
$106.40.
That's correct.
That's the bill that you gave me.
That's correct.
So?
Well, I guess that's the end of the story then.
That's the end of the story.
All right.
You just
Okay.
won. Sit.
Very good.
This is not a major toxic waste pollution case.
I understand.
A bent bicycle wheel. All right, let me get to the bottom line of your case, which I've read. Let me see if I understand it. Your daughter was playing over at their house. The plaintiff wanted to go someplace. And according to you, he said to the kids, why don't you just put the bikes in the backyard? The daughter put her bike in their backyard. The bike was stolen. And based on that, you believe it's his fault.
His responsibility.
No, that's wrong. How old is your daughter?
13.
So she had the capacity to say, I'm going to go put my bike in my garage?
Which she did. And he said, no, just put it in our backyard. We won't be gone very long. And both of the girls' bicycles got stolen.
You want to go further and tell me about this torn screen?
This is just
When did that
what I
happen?
get from the kids. This was last summer.
Did you tear the screen in Mr. Stevens' house?
No, ma'am.
You have a witness with regard to the torn screen?
Yes.
I'll hear you, Brian.
I was inside the house, and these two kids and my sister were inside, and I was trying to watch TV, and they were being loud, so they went outside. I locked the door, so they were locked out. I heard a noise at my window, and I opened the curtain, and Timothy was there with a stick poking a hole through it.
Did you poke a hole through the screen?
Uh-uh.
Did you replace the screen?
No, but I have an estimate to have it replaced.
You went through a whole summer with a screen with a hole in it from a stick?
Yes, ma'am.
Get a patch. I can understand why you're aggravated, but it's unfortunate that people who had a rather pleasant relationship have any tension because of this. That's your fault. They're all a lot younger than you are. So the first thing that happened was you locked your sister and her two friends out of the house because you wanted to watch television in peace. Is that what happened with the screen? Stupid. Then you got on a bike, jumped up and down on the bike, not your bike, and bent the wheel. Also, stupid. As a result of that, two families, which had, I assume, gotten along reasonably well together if you let your daughter go with the plaintiff before, have any kind of friction now. Very, very stupid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $133. The counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Matter of Bowman versus Benningfield. Thank you. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
You're Miss Bowman.
I'm Miss Bowman, her mother.
Okay, but you weren't there.
No, I was not there at the time.
Why don't you
Thank
have
you.
a seat? Miss Bowman, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Right.
Who's going to take his hands out of his pockets as we speak. Very good. And according to your complaint, after you broke up with him, two things happened. You claimed that he trashed your car, causing substantial damage, and also in a scuffle over a knife, he caused you to cut yourself. And you want him to pay your medical bills. When did you break up with him, and where did this happen?
At his home on June 27th.
How long had you been going out with him?
Since February.
Did you tell him in person that you were breaking up with him?
Yes, ma'am.
At what time of the day or evening did you tell him?
7.
You broke up with him on the 27th.
Right.
At about 7 o'clock in the evening?
Right.
And then I assume you left.
Right.
Was there any discussion at that time?
No, his sister and I both left after I broke up with him.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
We had gotten in an argument, and I was just like, it's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's just break up.
Did he say anything?
No, a normal breakup.
I don't remember.
Not like...
And then you left?
Right.
Did you subsequently come back to the house?
Yeah, later on that evening.
What time?
Yes. It was probably around 3 o'clock in the morning.
And who did you come back with?
His sister.
And what happened when you came back at 3 o'clock in the morning?
We went to sleep, and nothing happened. We woke...
Who went to sleep?
Sarah and I.
Where?
In Sarah's room.
Okay. So you went to sleep at 3 o'clock. What happened when you got up?
We woke up.
What time?
Maybe around 11. We were going to the hospital to visit his mom in the hospital, Sarah's mom also. Then we went to the hospital, came back around 4:30, and when I got back, I looked at my car and I noticed that it had been really bad kicked. And
Where had you parked your car?
In their driveway.
Now, when you left at 11 o'clock in the morning to go to visit his mother in the hospital with your friend Sarah,
right.
Did you see your car?
No, I had not paid any attention to it whatsoever.
When was the last time you had actually looked at your car?
And no damage had been done to it?
Yeah.
The day before, on the 27th.
What time?
8.
8 at night?
Right. When Sarah and I had left, there was nothing wrong with my car.
Do you have a photograph of your car after the damage? That was from a movie, right? I always loved that movie, right? What movie was that?
Got to think about that one.
Oh, I know what it was. I know. No. I know what it was. I know what it was. Runaway Bride. It was Runaway Bride.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's a ladies' movie. Did you see the movie?
No, ma'am.
But you know what I mean when I say look in my eyes.
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So someone did a real number on your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went into the house?
And called my mom, told her what had happened.
And that's why your mom is here, because the car is really your mom's.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And called the police. She told me to call the police. He was telling me, don't call him, it's not that big of a deal. And I called the police.
Well, did you ask him what happened to the car?
I said, what happened? I don't know.
And he said, I don't
wasn't
know.
here. Right.
And then you said you were going to call the police?
Right.
And what did he say when you said you were going to call the police?
Don't call the police, it's not that big of a deal.
And what did you say to him?
I said, my mom says I have to. So I went ahead and called the police, made a report, and when I had called the police, the officer came to his house, and the officer came, I made a police report. He said, did he do it? The police officer asked me if he did it and thought I was protecting him, but I didn't have any idea. You know, I thought in my mind that he did do it, but there was no, I saw you do it. So that.
Right. So what happened next?
Well, after the police officer had came, he wanted to talk to me. I was really upset. I was crying. I was really upset. And I was like, no, 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 no. You know, Sarah and I were getting ready. We're going to get dressed, and then we were going to go out that night. And we were arguing. And I don't know how it all started, but he pushed me. Sarah got up. Sarah and him started fighting. And then I got in the fight because I didn't want Sarah or either one of them to get hurt. And we were all just started a big fight. And then he started grabbing knives and was like, I'm going to...
You're lying.
Go ahead.
He started grabbing knives saying he was going to kill himself first. He held it to his stomach. Then he said to his wrist and everything else. All the meanwhile, Sarah and his 9-year-old cousin are both there. And after that, he had grabbed a steak knife. And he was like, I'm going to kill myself. We were standing over by the refrigerator. Sarah and his cousin were in the living room by the phone getting ready to call the police. And when he went like this, I put my hand like this, and that's how I got stabbed.
So you were trying to
prevent
him from hurting himself?
Exactly.
Okay. Did your cut require stitches?
Yes.
How many?
2. But it is 2.5 centimeters deep. My palm is numb. Half my thumb is numb. I'm still going to hand specialist to see.
Ms. Bowman, I just have a couple of questions for you. You break up with this guy. He has a sister who's clearly a friend of yours. Don't you think it's a good idea that after you break up with him, you don't go back to his house and contemplate going out with his sister and hanging out with his sister so that he's aware of all these things?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
His sister was my best friend. We had been...
So what? So let his sister come to your house.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
It's just not smart.
Right.
You know, it sort of says to him, trash to you.
Right.
You know, I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to go have a good time, and I don't care if you're heartbroken, and I don't care if you're miserable, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just not smart.
Right.
Not thinking. You know, you didn't think.
Right.
Anything?
I tried to keep the relationship between us after the incident kind of steady, so...
You can't keep it steady. It was just 24 hours old.
I'm talking about after.
I'm talking about at the time of this incident. The breakup was 24 hours old, and you're gallivanting around town, hanging out and doing whatever you want to do with his sister and coming home 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm not being judgmental about that.
Right.
I'm just saying to you, don't do it in front of him.
Right.
Because it made him mad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenna Bowman says ex-boyfriend John Benningfield Jr. kicked her car in a fit of jealous rage. Jenna also claims she was cut with a knife when John tried to kill himself.
Let us start with incident number 2. Let's hear your version of the knife incident.
Okay, well, see, yeah, we was arguing, you know, and...
What were you arguing about?
Yeah, I really can't remember. But we was arguing and stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to leave. You know, I'm just going to get out of here. And she was like, well, why don't you go kill yourself? Or why don't you go kill yourself? Or something like that in that area.
Me?
In that area. And I was like, well, do you want me to? Because I was just so mad, you know, so frustrated.
What were you mad about?
Just because we broke up, you know. And I did like her, you know, kind of a lot. We went out for, what, 6 months? And, you know, I mean, that's the pretty longest relationship I've ever been in. And
so you were really mad?
Yeah. And I was just like, okay. And I mean, I didn't have it up like this. I had it right here across my, you know, right here. And then my sister tried to stop me, and I was trying to protect the knife so she wouldn't get cut, you know. And then I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, she runs over here and she gets cut. And then as soon as I see she's cut, I threw the knife in the sink and then helped her, you know, tended to her. Like, I got to town, you know, and started, I told Sarah and them to call 911 because I didn't know, you know, how bad it was. And then, yeah, the police came and...
well, that was the second time the police had come.
Yeah, yeah.
Police came twice. The first time they came about the car.
Car, yes, ma'am. And they took me. They gave me. They was gonna take me to jail, but they
take you to jail for what?
For assault with a deadly weapon. Because I guess she was gonna press charges against me, but they ended up didn't, and then took me to rehab.
Well, she really assaulted herself with the deadly weapon that you were holding.
Yeah. Right. Right. That's why they took me to rehab, to the hospital, instead of taking me to jail.
Well, there's a difference between rehab and a hospital.
It's in the hospital. It's rehab in a hospital.
What kind of rehab?
It's
I
was trying to think. I don't know. It's just they got a bunch of for drugs and for people that are. I guess.
Well, for drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Who were you hanging out with that evening?
Josh Cato, my friend. See, the 27th, when her car was we supposedly did it. We was in Gap Hollow in where is that? Elizabeth, Indiana. And we didn't leave there until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when we left there, we went back to his house. And when we got up at his house about noon, I come back to the house, and she was like, "What did you do to my car? Why did you do this to my car?" And I'm
well,
like,
at the time she left the evening before with your sister, you weren't in Gap Hollow. You weren't there. You were home because she said, "I'm leaving, and I don't want to talk about it anymore." You were home.
Right. When they left, we pulled out of the driveway because he parked his truck in our second driveway, and she was parked with my sister and my cousin, and they was going to the hospital.
Who do you think kicked her car?
I have no idea, because his truck said 2 weeks before when we moved into that house, somebody took a baseball bat and keyed his truck.
Why would you tell her not to call the police?
I don't remember saying not to call the police.
Yeah, you did. Why would you say don't call the police? It's no big deal.
I have no idea.
Mr. Benningfield, you have no idea?
Right.
I have an idea. Let me see the estimates on the car and let me see the medical bills.
These are the hospital bills. And this is the estimate for my car.
Don't you have insurance on this car, Miss Bowman?
If she hit someone, we only have,
Liability.
because I'm a single parent, I can't afford the.
That's a lot of kicking damage on that car, sir. Need really heavy boots to do a kicking job on a car like that. Ms. Bowman, what caused you to break up with the defendant?
Because he was controlling and he was mean, and every time I went out with his sister, I get yelled at when I came back.
How old are you?
16.
How old are you?
19.
Did he ever use any drugs in front of you?
Well, okay.
Answer the question. The answer is yes or no.
Yes.
What kind?
Xanaxes. Can I tell you something? He was taking Xanaxes the day that this
What
happened.
is Xanax?
Xanax is a...
Depressant drug.
Right. For...
People that get panic attacks.
Right.
How long have you been taking medication?
Like, just pretty much the time we was going out.
Is that by a doctor's prescription?
No, ma'am.
What?
Yeah.
You take that on your own?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from?
Just my friends, people I know.
These people that you know, I assume with medical licenses, know how much to prescribe for you?
They wasn't prescribed. She's making me look like the bad person. She took them herself. She's done everything that I did, she's done.
Mr. Benningfield, the problem is that you caused some damage.
I didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did. There's no question in my mind that you did. And there's also no question in my mind but for the fact that you had taken this knife and were using this knife in a way suggesting that you were going to harm yourself, she wouldn't have gotten stabbed. Now, whether that was a result of taking... Try to pay attention. You're 19 years old. Trust me, you don't know everything. You think you know everything. Maybe you think he knows everything. You think you know everything? But for the fact that you probably are operating only on partial cylinders because of this medication that you're taking, sir, you reacted to her breaking up with you in a way that was off balance. Now, am I saying to you that she did the right thing by going out with your sister and still having a relationship with you? The answer is no. I think she acted like an immature 16-year-old. And your chronological age is 18, right?
Right.
translated probably about 9. And that's what 9-year-olds do when they don't get what they want. They hit, they scratch, they mark up somebody's walls, they do a whole bunch of things.
She had the police involved. She went and she was going to press charges against me. And I had to go up to Sellersburg Police Department to give them a statement. They said they couldn't do nothing. She supposedly gave them all kind of witnesses that I supposedly admitted it to them. But them same witnesses, when the cop asked them, did he tell you this? They was like, no.
I don't care what they said, sir. I'm telling you, you trashed her car. You want to know how I know you trashed her car? Because I can see it. I can see what happened when she left and how angry you were. How angry you were even the next day, because you said that's why you grabbed the knife, because you were so angry, because you really liked her. And here she was telling you, I'm breaking up with you and I'm going to hang out at bars, friends, whatever, with your sister. And I'm leaving, bye, and she leaves you there all by yourself with your medication and your friend. Grow up. Listen, you both got to grow up. I give you some latitude because you're only 16. You're 19 and no genius, but you're going to pay for the damage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which well exceeds damage to the car and your medical bills, $5,000. That's all.
Funds are exchanged. You may step out.
I think it was a great decision.
It's crap that she can see these things.
2 girls told me he kicked my car and that he had a new girlfriend, but I wasn't worried about the new girlfriend. It was just a coincidence.
We was trying to work everything out when all this was going on, and then I just got tired of waiting, and I started with this other girl that I know.
Finally now, she knows, we all know the truth.
And then she found that out, and then this one, all this, she started suing me just to try getting money, because she's for money.
Don't date psychos.
Yeah, this is case number 259 on the calendar in the matter of Allen versus Allen. Vice have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Allen, the defendants are your son and daughter-in-law, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And is your claim that they owe you jointly a substantial amount of money, both from loans and from a cell phone bill that they managed to creep up to the thousands. Mr. Allen, you were in jail. When?
The first time for 4 years, and then just this past November till this year.
You served 4 years in state's prison?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
From 97 until September of last year, 2000.
September of 2000. What were you convicted of, sir?
Arson, 451C.
What did you burn down?
Condemned apartment complex.
Then you were arrested again?
Mm-hmm.
For what?
A parole violation.
What was the nature of the violation?
A threat to harass another and leaving the county without a pass.
Who did you harass?
A former employer, supposedly.
Is the complaint of your parents that when you got out of jail, I believe the first time in the year 2000, you needed some money, and they helped you with a series of loans. How much did you give your son when he got out of jail the first time in 2000?
About $1,400.
How do you have that broken down?
$65 in uniforms, $60 for gas, and what he told me was birth control pills, $150 cash for expenses. He told me they needed money for food. We gave him $100. And then he switched jobs after he got arrested the second time, and he needed $60 for steel-toed shoes this time. We gave them $450 for rent while they were still living in their old apartment, $15 for DMV fees that he conveniently didn't have the day he had to go to the DMV, $85 for gas, usually, $20 here, $40 here, $200 for carpet for their rental, and $150 cash for miscellaneous expenses. And when we were on vacation in July, he called us and said he needed $80 to make his car payment. So we gave him that.
Miss Allen, did you have a conversation with your son with regard to paying you back this money?
Several times. It was always going to be paid back on payday, when they could get it or when he got paid from a separate job that he was doing. Each time the money just disappeared.
Well, but you kept giving him money, Miss Allen.
Well, because every time I asked him for money, he hinted that I was taking food out of my grandchildren's mouths.
So despite the fact that he didn't pay you back any of this money, week after week, month after month, he would ask you for more, $15, $100, $85, and you would continue to give it to him.
He did pay back some money. He did. He gave my husband $100 at the mall one day, $40 here, $20 here, a total of $435. So
Well,
just enough to keep me doling it out, I guess.
So what's the total of what you say he owes you now, without the phone bill?
$1,415.
And did you keep records of that money at the time that you actually gave him the money, or did you recap in your head at some later time?
I wrote it down in my, I have an address book. I just wrote it down, how much I gave him, but I didn't write dates or anything. I just wrote it down so I could keep track. So when I said, hey, you owe me this much money, I would at least know how much.
Okay. Now tell me about the telephone bill.
He had some problems, and he said that his wife would feel a lot better if she had a way to get a hold of him, which, knowing his track record, that was a good idea. She needed a way to get a hold of him. So he asked me if I would get a cell phone in my name. I already had one, and my husband and I both have cell phones, and he said he would pay the monthly bill on that.
And did he do that?
He paid one bill of $144 because the phone got disconnected, and I just wasn't going to pay it anymore.
How much is still owed on his bill?
It totals $2,008.05. And to date, on both the cell phone and the loan, he's only paid $435.
I hear you.
There's a lot to be told, Your Honor. We'll start with the loans, the miscellaneous loans. When I came home, my wife was working between 40 and 60 hours a week and making over $2,000 a month. We didn't borrow money from her when I first came home the first time. We had no need to borrow money from her. I had $200 gate money that, substantial amount of money for me to have to be home and find a job and get work. I remember her offering to pay for uniforms. I've never once, there's a lot of things in her list of loans that she said, as for example, for rent for the new house or carpet for the new house. We moved out less than a mile from her house to where she could be closer to the grandkids. It was kind of like a helping thing. I had to get away from the place where I was, so she helped us out. It was her friends we rented the house from.
Is what you're saying, Mr. Allen, that you didn't take this money from your mother?
No, I didn't call her and say, Mom, I need money, please. You're taking food out of my kid's mouth. I would never say that to her.
That's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, are you telling me that your mother is lying when she says that she gave you, over a period of time, $1,415 in small amounts for a variety of things? Shoes, uniforms, gas money, a month's rent, money for carpeting. Are you telling me that she's lying when she's telling me that?
I'm not saying she's lying about those things, but as for her to say that she loaned it to us and said, okay, you'll give it back to me, the agreement was, here you go. It wasn't, Mom, I need money, I'll give it back to you on Friday when I get paid. Mom,
well, how would she know that you needed money?
We would be talking. You see, my mom keeps everything
listen
close.
to me. How would she know that you needed money? How would she know, for instance, that you needed money for the DMV and that you didn't have it?
She was with me when we went to the DMV. She was with me. I went to go pull out money. My wife had the check. She said, oh, I'll take care of it. I was driving her around that day. Her car was in the shop. It was like gas money. This is how she works. She'll say, I'll take care of that, and then 5 days later when she's angry at you, she'll try to sue you for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Roberta and Donald Allen say their son, Daniel Allen, owes for loans they made after he got out of jail. The Allens say Daniel served 4 years on an arson conviction.
Let's go to the phone bill.
We could talk about the phone bill.
We could.
The phone bill.
I think that right now is the appropriate time.
Back in November, me and my wife tried to set up a cell phone, and they wanted because we had a bankruptcy, they wanted a $1,000 deposit.
So she wasn't doing so well in her job.
No, we had a bankruptcy 3 years previously. It was just something, our credit was messed up. It had nothing to do with us not having money, but they wanted a deposit, a high one. I was talking to my mom about a cell phone. My mom said, hey, I can get one on my account. It won't cost you guys anything. You just give me the $20 for the phone, $40 a month for 500 local, whatever the minutes were. It was like 2,000 minutes a month. We said, yeah, sure, let's do that. That'll help out great. I was incarcerated 3 weeks after we had the phone. I went back for the second time for the threat to harass. My wife, who was handling everything by herself and didn't have an extra income now that I was gone again, she called my mom and said, hey, my mom would call and say, hey, the phone's due, and you can ask her. She said, hey, don't worry about it. I'll handle it until you guys get back on your feet, and that's exact words. I even called my mom from jail and said, hey, Mom, I don't know what you want to do with the phone. You want to take it back? It'll cost me more money to take the phone back.
Where do you get $2,008 in telephone calls?
We've never seen a bill.
Can I see the bill?
These are the front pages to the bills, and I've given him several bills, which he subsequently tore up because he didn't want his wife to see what phone calls were on him. I have the complete...
No, I want the bills with what calls were made. The last bill I have here indicates $802.15, which is the total balance.
That's a $150 shut-off fee, $360-some for the
No,
last
I'm just
bill.
saying, you say, listen to me, Miss Allen, you say he owes you $2,008 for the phone bill. The last bill that I have here is $802.15.
I've been paying the bill.
Are you telling me because you made some payments?
I made a lot of payments, yeah.
How many payments did you make on this phone bill?
We made three, one of $250 and one of $100, and then some minor ones in between that. But those were all without seeing anything but the first bill.
Who lives in Lancaster?
Several people.
Your friends?
Yeah,
Relatives?
I don't know how many different people.
What's Diamond Bar?
A place in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I don't know what's down there. I don't know who exactly those numbers are.
How many children do you have?
2 and 1 on the way.
I gather from looking at these papers that your parents don't see your children anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that?
My mother has alienated most of our family. Other siblings don't speak with her, and then we go to my children. We went to Vegas one weekend. It's just numerous things. I guess my wife can explain it better than that. It was more both of our decision.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Basically, it's just that she doesn't recognize us as parents. We'll ask her not to do something, and it's constantly going over the line that's set.
Give me an example.
It started when they were planning their trip to Ohio, and she told Theo in front of my 3-year-old, they're 3 and 5, she told the 5-year-old, because that's her favorite, she's made that very clear, that he would be going on her trip with her to Ohio for like 3 weeks was the plan. This was before she ever talked to me or my husband. I came to pick them up because they had spent the night. I think my son said something like, I get to go on an airplane. And I was like, what? And they said, oh yeah, we think it's a good idea for him to come to Ohio with us for our vacation, and went on. Well, they had already said this to my kids. You don't discuss something with a 5-year-old before you make sure it's
You're
okay.
absolutely right.
And then from there, I mean, other things have happened.
Was that recently?
Yeah, she just went in
June, beginning of July was their trip,
But I
and
mean-
it was before that it was discussed.
the situation directly before they left. I mean, she told them, you know, when the fare comes, I'm going to take him on, or no, I'm going to take him to a glider ride. And we told them, no, you're not going to a glider ride. We were sitting, you know, Theo came and said, I'm going on an airplane, a glider ride. And we were like, no, that's not going to happen.
Oh.
And that was
your mother,
after-
your wife explained it much better
Yeah.
than you did. Did you say that to your 5-year-old, that you were going to take him on a trip?
We were talking about going on our trip. He said he wanted to go. He wanted to know how we were getting there, what we were going to do, and he just was planning on going. And they told him no, it worked out. They called us every day while we were on vacation. Everything was just fine.
There was the blow up about, please don't say these things to him before you talk to me or Danny and know what our answer is. Okay, the glider thing, that was for her birthday. She wanted to take a glider trip, and she wanted her grandson to be with her. Again, she told him that she said, because when we picked him up, that she said, I told Theo that he will be going on the glider with me for my birthday. We said, hi, we're the parents. Could you try to talk to us about these things before you discuss it with Theo? 5 minutes after that, she said, oh, fine then, I'll just take you up in a helicopter ride at the fair. Right in front of us without, again, saying anything. I think this all started, all the lawsuits and everything, after we went to Vegas. She has 5 or 6 foster kids, and it's a fun thing for the kids to go and spend the night in the tent in the backyard once in a while. Thursday night they called and asked, can Theo and Brian stay in the tent? They're going to spend the night in the tent tonight. We said, okay, sure, fine. We had already planned for them to watch the boys that weekend when we went to Vegas. I came home, my son comes home and says that he ended up spending, okay, obviously he spent Thursday with our permission, Friday, Saturday night also in the tent. I know with 6 kids, my 5-year-old was in the tent all weekend long. He didn't get sleep. He fell asleep within 10 minutes of being home. That upset me.
Just a minute. Were you in Vegas?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
If you were in Vegas and had a good time when you came home, you have 2 kids?
Yes.
Nobody was in a cast. Nobody had gone for surgery. Right? Shh, listen.
Okay, Your Honor.
No. Believe me, been there, done that on both sides. Not very hard.
Your Honor, excuse me. Okay.
You have to respect the fact that they're the parents. You, on the other hand, have to understand that if you ask somebody to do you a favor and take care of your children so that you can go on vacation, you relinquish a certain amount of parental authority. So if she wants him to sleep in a tent, if she wants him to sleep on top of a bunk bed, then you just suck it up and say, I had a great 3 days. And the next time, if you don't like the sleeping arrangements, stay home. I guarantee you that once you have the third, it's going to be very hard to get somebody to watch 3 children while you go to Vegas. 3 children being babysat for by somebody who cares for them. I don't care which one is her favorite, if she's got one. It doesn't make any difference. Who cares for them? Not a stranger. Grandparents spoil their grandchildren. It's one of the pleasures. Parents like to say, I'm in charge. Listen to me. And you're right. You're in charge. You have the right to make the big decisions. If they're going to go on a trip, and you're absolutely right. Before Grandma says you want to come to Ohio with us, she shouldn't say anything. She should just say, we have to talk to your folks about that. And just leave it. Go on to something else. Get his mind off it. And then come and say, yeah, I'd really like to take him on a trip. Would it be all right with you? You're absolutely right. I'm not faulting you. But sometimes things happen, and you don't, just because they're grandparents, not that they're perfect. So it may not have come out just the way you thought it came out. The saddest part is you are taking away your children's right to enjoy the widest possible circle of love and affection that they can. And that's from their grandparents, as well as you.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So you shouldn't do it.
But my growing up and my family's growing up with my mother and my father has been totally twisted since we were young.
Then what'd you let him babysit for your children for?
But
no, you answer my question.
Because, I was still in the stage of, mommy's, it was a convenience, and
no,
mommy's
it's
still
a
there.
Convenience.
Okay, and then...
So if you say your mother's twisted and your father's twisted, you wouldn't leave them alone with the 2 children that you like.
That's where we're at right now, and that's why these lawsuits came up, and I have a tape that'll show you, and I have a witness outside that'll come in here and state to you with the email she sends him one day, let me give you something, the next day I'm gonna hang your butt in court. And my witness is outside, and he's...
Not interested.
Okay.
Not interested. You had a big mouth, and somebody's used the phone this much. I mean, I have a cell phone. I don't even know the number. If I have to call the police on it, if somebody is mugging me, I use it. Otherwise, I'm like a normal person. I sit down near a phone, I make a phone call. Right? If you want to sit on the phone for hours and hours and hours and hours, then you got to pay for that. And if your mother made these little loans to you, she says they're little bits of loans to you. I have a feeling some of them are loans and some of them were not. When you give a child $15, you give a child $20, and you keep doing it over the course of time, then you don't say, well, it was really a loan. And you don't loan your child $15. Did you ever loan your child $15?
Your Honor?
I've never loaned my children anything.
Right. So,
right.
Well, that's true. And I can understand you saying to your daughter-in-law at some point, you worry about it when he gets out of jail because you felt maybe a little bit guilty, a little bit responsible for the children, for their welfare if he wasn't around, so you helped out a little bit. Miss Allen, that's what parents do.
Right.
The saddest thing that I find here is that you're not seeing your grandchildren, and that's the wrong thing to happen.
She won't.
It's not just the 2 things that we've mentioned. As long as you do everything that she wants you to do or she's happy, then everything's fine. Just like, we've been in many arguments. The phone's okay until we get in an argument, then she mentions it. We say we want to see the bill. It doesn't happen. And then we get over the argument, and everything's fine for a little while.
We've offered her the phone back. As soon as we offer it back.
But when it's a big blow-up,
do you understand why you're here, though?
The cell phone.
No.
We could be here because we filed for a restraining order.
You're here because she can't see her grandchildren. That's why you're here. That's the only reason that you're here is because you say this 5-year-old is her favorite.
But it's a pattern. She's also got a lawsuit against our brother-in-law, and
she's suing everybody.
It's not
Your
about
Honor,
not seeing that grandchild.
They both filed for restraining orders against me, which neither one of them showed up for in court after I paid an attorney. They owe me $500 for lawyer fees.
Listen, I just said to your son and daughter-in-law that the reason you were here and the reason you were angry is because you weren't seeing your grandchildren. That doesn't mean that I don't find that they owe you some money. I think that they do owe you some money. But I also think that you have to grow up a little bit. And if you want to avail yourself of babysitting services, and if they use Huggies instead of Pampers, and if they don't give them a tubby every night like you would, you just have to blink your eyes and say it's part of the price you pay for going away on vacation.
I understand.
That's it. So if you can come to terms with each other, fine. And if what you're doing is being very angry with each other, then I can't do anything about that. And then, anyway, you owe him $2,200. That includes some of the phone bills, some of the loans. I wish I got smarter and started keeping track of what my kids owe me. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may stay. Yes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cole versus Watts. Step forward, please.
23-year-old business owner Mariah Cole is suing her former employee, 27-year-old Rebecca Watts, for the cost of her merchandise. Mariah says when Rebecca returned a starter kit of adult toys, some of the products were missing.
Miss Cole, can you explain the kind of business that you run to me?
I run an adult novelty and home party business.
What is adult novelty?
We go into homes and hold parties for adults with lotions and potions and vibrators.
That kind of adult party?
Yes.
I didn't understand. I really didn't understand what that was from your complaint. And according to your complaint, the defendant wanted to be part of your business. And I gather that the way your business works is there's a starter kit that costs $250 that has a sampling of all the merchandise.
Correct.
And people take the starter kit, which they pay for, and then proceed to have house parties with other people and sell it, sort of like what we used to do with Tupperware.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Only high-tech Tupperware.
Right.
Okay. Your complaint alleges, and the defendant concedes, that she was interested in making some extra money, decided to try this business, took a starter kit from you, and your understanding was that she would not give you the $250 right up front, but would host her parties, and a percentage of the money that she received she would give to you as in for payment for the starter kit as it went along. Is that right?
Yes.
And you did host some parties?
I hosted 2.
But they were not particularly successful?
Correct.
You decided you no longer wanted to be in business?
Correct.
And according to you, she did not return the starter kit in the same condition as you gave it to her?
Correct.
You want the $250 for the starter kit?
Yes.
So, that's the case. I'll hear you.
Okay. I brought her back the kit, and she told me that there were some items missing out of it. And one of the items was broke, which I knew that the lid on one of the items was broke. 2 of the items, which was some order forms and a whip, I did have in my car because I was in the process of moving. I had taken the kit over to my friend's mother's house to keep it there while I was moving so nothing happened to it. When she told me what items were missing, I knew for sure the 2 items that she said was missing were in there whenever I got the kit from her house, because even her mother and her saw the items in there because one of them was leaking and she took it out and cleaned it.
What did you leave this kit at your friend's house for?
I was in the process of moving and I was trying to get it over to her house.
Why didn't you just bring it over to her house right away?
I was trying to get all my stuff to storage and then move it over to her.
Yeah, but according to your answer, you left the kit at your friend's house and they took out the kit to look at and were fooling around with it.
Yeah, her mom was curious.
I mean, if she's going to use this starter kit again, it has to be in the exact same condition as you got it.
Right. I offered to pay her for the items that was broke, and the one item, the one potion stuff that was in there that she said wasn't in there. I didn't know what happened to that. So I offered to pay her for the items that were broke and the one item that was missing. And then I told her I had the other items, and then that's when she decided that she just wanted the money for the whole kit.
What did the kit look like when it came back to you?
When I received the kit back, there were items missing. The items that were missing entailed the bull whip, one of a set of 2 C-rings, 10 catalogs, making love oil, flavors strawberry and champagne, order forms, the diving dolphin, good head.
I don't even want to ask what that is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There were also some of the bags that were missing, and erasers, which we use as tasters at our shows. The eager beaver, which appeared to be used. The pleasure mint that appeared to be used, which is true because we do arm massages at our parties. So that may have been used, but we would have appreciated that to have been cleaned up before she returned it to us. And then the tickle and taste was broke.
I have to make this simple and I have to let these people go. Right, Bert? As fast as possible.
It's getting a little warm.
Right?
Here.
And you thought your wife was going to Tupperware parties. Okay. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that the reason you have a starter kit is the starter kit, I assume, is going to get used in the process of selling product. because that's what it is. It's passed around, but the starter kit was new when it was given to you. Is that right?
Correct.
And the expectation was that you were going to use it in your business. Well, you can't return a used kit.
But she had told me that I could. That's why, or else I would have paid her up front if she would have told me I couldn't bring it back from the beginning.
Well,
She
did
told
you
me
have
just
it-
go ahead and bring the kit back and don't worry about it.
Well, maybe she
So-
didn't know that you had used all these things in the kit. I mean, if you're returning it in the condition that she gave it to you, then she's absolutely right. Return the kit. If it's in the same condition as the one I gave to you, fine. But if she has somebody else who comes to her and wants to enter into a business relationship, she can't give them that kit. She can't. You're probably better off out of the business anyway. How much money did you make?
Maybe $40 off one show.
$40.
Yeah, it was more time consuming than anything.
Oh, you're entitled to your kit fee. You have the kit?
Yes.
Where is it?
Part of it is here and part of it is out there.
Okay,
with
but
us.
you have the kit. I don't
Yes.
want to see it.
Okay.
She just bought it.
Okay.
Okay? So you're going to give the kit to her and do with it what you will. Your judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 298 on the calendar in the matter of Lord versus Rudell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Are you Alex?
Yeah.
How old are you, Alex?
7.
Are you smart?
Yes.
You want to come up and sit here and talk to me for a minute?
No, thank you.
He said he was smart, right?
It's really nice up here. I have a cushion for you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Come on, she can talk to you better up here.
Come on. I can talk to you better than sitting in that
No,
chair.
thank you.
No, thank you. Okay. Got it. Alex is a little nervous. Miss Laura, according to your complaint, the defendant is a former roommate and friend of yours.
Yes.
You are suing him for many things. One of the things that you are suing him for is you believe that his son, Alex, injured your cat, and you had substantial veterinary bills.
Yes.
You are also suing him for some rent and utility bills and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the thrust of your complaint are the vet bills for the cat. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. Based upon what I read, you had agreed to babysit for Alex that day, and his mother had brought him over. Is that you? Mm-hmm. They are not together.
No.
But you were going to do some babysitting, and they were going out someplace.
Correct.
The defendant and his former wife?
Right.
Okay. While you were all sitting around in the kitchen, tell me what you heard.
I was actually sitting at the kitchen table, so I had a view both of the hallway where the cat came from and where the child was sitting. I saw my cat leave my bedroom and walk down the hall. I saw him get up and run towards the cat. All of a sudden the cat screamed a really funny scream, and I didn't get up right away. One more scream and I did get up, and seeing her laying on the stairs, she was just laying there. Her eyes were kind of large and glassy, and she just looked different than any time I'd ever seen her. It was very scary for me and her, I'm sure. Picked her up and felt her leg and said that, yes, indeed, it was broken. I immediately called my veterinarian to tell them that we were on our way, that the cat had a broken leg. They left me with the child, and I got in the car with the cat to go.
And Alex.
And Alex, yeah. They had plans to go out, and quite truthfully, after the fact, I thought, why didn't they take the kid? But I was just so upset about the cat that I just had her, and my only thought was to get her to the vet as quickly as possible. They were going to be closing, and they knew we were coming. She said that in looking at the x-ray,
You can't tell me what she said.
Okay.
Unless you have a report from the vet, do you?
I do have reports from the vet.
I'd like to see the report.
And
from the
pictures
vet.
also, Veek.
Okay.
These are the pictures.
And the photographs. Well, according to the letter, unfortunately, the fracture did not heal properly, so the only option left was amputation of that leg.
Her body began to absorb the leg, and she became in a lot of pain. So we tried pain pills for a short time, trying to preserve the leg. That didn't work, and the leg had to be amputated.
Is she doing all right now?
She's fine.
Okay. Now, I'd like to know, Miss Laura, what makes you think that Alex did something to your cat?
When we were sitting at the table, and I saw the cat come this way, and I saw Alex go that way, and then she screamed. There was no one else there, first of all. When we ran there, Alex was standing at the top. It was an exposed stairway, and he was standing at the top there and just looking down. A few days later, I asked him if he did it, and he said yes.
How did he say he did it?
I sat down in my kitchen when he was left with me again, and I just sat down, I looked at him, and I said, "Did you break Eek's leg?" And he looked at me and put his head down and said yes. I believe he threw her down the stairs. I mean, that's the only, because the stairs were, she was on the bottom of the stairs, or towards the bottom.
Now, you said that when you saw your cat go up the stairs, you saw Alex follow her.
She went down the hall, and he went the other way. So she probably ended up right by the stairs, and there's a railing there. And my suspicion, although I don't know, but just from where she landed, was that he had grabbed for her, and she ended up going right over. Again, it's what the vet had told me, but they said there was so much force of the injury, it wasn't just a fall to have such a bad injury to her leg, to her one leg especially.
Alex, do you remember when the cat got hurt?
No.
You don't remember that day?
Remember the day, not the exact date.
Do you remember going with Miss Law to the veterinarian with the cat?
Yeah.
Well, that was the day the cat got hurt, okay? Were you there when the cat got hurt?
Yeah.
Were you trying to play with the cat?
No.
Tell me what happened.
I was holding it, it came over to me and rubbing it. So I thought it wanted to go downstairs, and I picked it up, and I think it pushed down so hard that I think it broke its leg.
Okay, so you were holding the cat, and it jumped out of your arms and fell down the stairs? Had you played with the cat before, Alex?
No.
That was the first time you ever played with the cat? There are other cats in the house, aren't there?
Yeah.
Do you play with those cats?
Not that much.
Not that much? Do you like cats?
Yeah.
You weren't trying to hurt the cat, were you?
No.
So now you know how it happened. Did your son tell you that before?
Well, see, that's the thing. She didn't ask him.
No, I'm asking you a question.
This story
I'm
is
asking you.
changing.
Shh, listen to me. You're not letting me finish.
Sorry.
Stop being defensive. Did your son tell you at any time before today that that's what happened with the cat?
Oh, I'd say about 4 or 5 days ago. Would be the first time that I heard that he even picked up the cat.
Okay. So this is a recent thing that you just heard. You mean just recently?
Just recently.
A year later?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Yes.
He also told me that when I sat down and we had an argument, he said that if I pursued this, that he would say he and Ann and the child were sitting in the kitchen together. What? That he would lie. You're lying. You know you are.
No, that's ridiculous.
Miss Lore, listen to me.
Consummate victim. That's what she is.
No. Listen to me, sir. There is no question.
Am I done asking?
I don't know what you're getting angry about. She's not a consummate victim. Her cat was injured. But for the actions of your son, her cat would not have been injured. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that this was a purposeful thing. I'm suggesting to you that he's a little child and that he picked up a rather large cat, and the cat may not have been comfortable in his arms when he picked up the cat and wanted to get down. And because they were standing so close to the steps, the cat was thrown down the steps and broke her leg. There may not even be an issue as to liability on your part because you were all there together.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marie Lohr says her former roommate's son, 7-year-old Alex Rudell, injured her cat. Marie says the cat's leg had to be amputated.
What were the veterinary bills for the cat?
$1985.45.
Can I see the bill, please?
Mm-hmm.
Did she discuss these bills with you, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did she ever tell you that she thought you should pay or help pay for these bills?
Eventually done.
Eventually?
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
The thing is that we didn't see anything. I don't know. She's saying she saw Alex and the cat. Mind you, there's 8 cats and 3 great big dogs that live in this house.
Well, right now, let's say it's only a few days ago, sir, if I believe you, that you finally ascertained from your son that he was responsible for the cat's injury.
Correct.
So I'm asking you, let's talk about today.
Okay.
If you knew then what you know now, what would you have said to her with regard to the veterinary bills? Would you have told her to put the cat down because it's too expensive?
Would I have told her?
Yes.
I understand she does love animals. There's no
No,
doubt
I'm
about that.
asking you a question. Would you have told her that it was too expensive, she should put the cat down?
Would I? Yes.
That's what you would have told her. That's what I assume you would have told her. But that's not an option. You know, people who love animals the same way that some people who have children love their children.
Which I understand.
Okay, so if you understand that, then you can't make that kind of an insensitive comment.
But to
what?
me personally, $2,000 for a cat is a lot of money.
Well, $2,000 to fix a cat is a lot of money. And to some, do you have children?
No, they're my children.
Shh, I asked you if you had
No.
a question. You have children? Those, as she said,
Right.
are her children. Now, you have one child.
Right.
God forbid something happened to your child. What would you think if somebody said to you, well, we're not going to spend $100,000 to give him that surgery. You can make another one.
I understand that.
How would you feel? Would you think that they were an insensitive moron?
That's not what I meant by it.
Well,
I mean,
well, what do you mean by it?
just, I mean, it's a lot. I understand the part about the kids being her kids.
Well,
I
but
understand
you know,
that.
you can't be. I know you say you understand it,
I mean,
but
I
if you
had
say
a
you
cat
understand it,
for
then
the
you have.
longest time.
If
know.
you say you understand it, then you have to appreciate how callous that sounds.
It wasn't meant to sound callous.
Well, that was meant to save you some money, and you are partially responsible for this.
No.
I don't think he's totally responsible for it because you were all there, and each of you could have monitored the child a little bit better. Now, what other items do you believe that he owes you?
He stopped payment on a check for his rent.
For what month?
It was actually for August, but he gave it to me in mid-September.
Did he live there in August?
Yeah, he was there all of August.
Okay, so, and he never paid you August rent?
No, it's with this check that he stopped payment on.
Okay, let me see it.
And these are the charges. I don't know if you want those too.
What else?
That was also the utilities. And actually, you have those up there already.
Do you have in your evidence, sir, payment for August rent?
No, ma'am.
What else?
I had the locks changed because I was afraid Rob had threatened my dog Henry and said he was going to shoot him.
Good idea when somebody moves out to change the locks anyway. What else? That's your bill.
Well, actually, I don't ever do it.
Good. No, that's your problem. You should
okay.
do it. What else?
I trusted him. The utilities.
What date did you move out, sir?
I believe it was.
It was a
either
Sunday,
week-
16th of September.
Sunday.
It was the 16th of September that you moved out? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because she was threatening my son. She called him
Because I see you wrote this check on
Right.
the 15th of September.
because I was leaving.
17.
To cover what month?
September.
I can't tell whether it's September or October. You have any proof of rent receipts, et cetera, for the entire
again, I
period from
trusted him,
1999?
and-
Well, he's going to pay you for half of your vet bills. That's $1,000. He's going to pay you this check, which was payment was stopped on this for a month's rent. That's $300.99. And for the $12 for the stop payment, that's $1,312.99. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Anything is possible in terms of how the particular cat got injured.
He tends to have a temper, and I think that when the cat tried to get away, that she launched, and he probably just kind of pitched her.
She forced me out of the house. I stopped payment on my check.
When someone says they're going to shoot my dog, I don't ask them if they have a gun or not. I'm just thinking they're going to hurt my dog, and I'm next.
It's done. She can move on with her pathetic life.
And now the next case.
All parties on Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about a year and a half.
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer live together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point. And he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that. So after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make sure the record is clear, I only lived with Sue for 5 months before we got into our first argument, which you would say, where we had our first breaking up. I moved out on November 29th of 2000. All right, that was my birthday. There was an incident that happened that
All right,
night.
we'll get to that incident because that has to do with car damage that she's claiming.
Okay,
Okay, let's get to the fact that you say you turned over all your paychecks to her during the 5 months that you actually lived together. Is that accurate, Miss Laron?
It was, but then he also took all the money back out of my account.
Well, how did he take the money back out of your account?
He had my check card, and that was how he deposited his check, but then he also, in turn, took out all the cash.
Well, if he's putting his entire paycheck into the bank, just pay careful attention. He's putting what he earns into the bank. So he has to clearly take out some money for himself to live on, to go to work, to do whatever he has to do, to buy clothes, etc. Now, if you're telling me that he's using your checking account as merely a way of getting his own money back and he wasn't contributing anything to the house, that's a different story, because that would be sort of like using your bank as a check cashing service. But if the two of you are using your checking account and you can't manage your bills, and that's what you were fighting about, you can't come to court later. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, do you have any such record from the bank indicating that he was using your checking account as just check cashing?
Not with me.
Well, this is the place to have it. So that deals with the issue of rent. Now let's get to this car issue. You say in October of 2000 he purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We were in a fight over the phone bill because the phone was shut off because the phone bill was not paid. And I was going over to my girlfriend's house to get away from him because we were arguing. He jumped on the hood of my car, and as I drove by trying to get him off of my car, he jumped off and smashed the mirror.
And what's your version of that event?
Well, ma'am, it isn't in October because it happened on my birthday. I came home late from work that evening. I had planned to do something with Sue. Prior to that night, though, she had told me that her and her daughter were going to go over to a friend's house and spend the evening.
You had been fighting, I assume, over money.
Actually, no, the fighting was not actually about money. What I was more angry about was she burned my birthday dinner, she burned my birthday cake.
I mean, she burned it on purpose.
Well, she was so busy, what I think, and I'm not sure, but I think she was so into the fact that she was getting ready for her evening that she forgot about it.
So she burned your birthday dinner.
Right. I came home, and she told me that she was just going over to a friend's house the night before to have some drinks, which turned into, I'm going to a wine tasting party. This is my birthday, November 29th.
Should have been, just a minute, should have been a clue.
Should have been a clue, you're right. You're right, Your Honor.
So what happened?
Well, she was leaving. We actually got into a very big argument. My children were actually there. I then told Sue when she was going out to her vehicle that I needed my car seats because I knew that there was going to be an altercation when she got back from the store for making a
car
phone
seat
call.
for the children?
They were in the back of her Blazer. I then followed her in the garage. She got into her vehicle. She locked the door and turned the radio up so I couldn't speak. I walked around behind the vehicle. I stood there, and I did not move. I told her I was not getting out of the way till I had my car seats. She began to back over me. I moved out of the way. I followed her down the driveway, and then I stood in front of her vehicle, and I said, all I want are my children's seats so I can take them back to their mothers. That's it. You know what? That was the end. She would have stopped the vehicle, got out, and gave me them. It would have been over.
Okay,
all right? I then proceeded. She started to move. I jumped up on the hood, and I laid on it. Very wrong for me to do. Put myself in very much danger. She began to accelerate down the road with me on the hood of the car. Okay? I slid off the side on the driver's side. When I hit the ground, she gunned it. And you know what? I can't just say what exactly happened. I know that the mirror was damaged. It was ripped off the vehicle. I was hit here in the shoulder. She drove around the corner, got out of her vehicle, and yelled every obscenity that you can imagine at me because her mirror was busted.
Did you get the car seats back?
No, never did. She took off.
That is not true.
He seems pretty clear. He acknowledges the fact that he jumped on the hood of your car and that the mirror was broken. So,
the incident in question happened October 7th, which is a Saturday. And as far as his birthday dinner, it was not burned.
But my question to you about this car incident, was that this happened in either October or November of 2000, and he left, but then he came back.
Right. He did not leave until December. New
Fine.
Year's.
Now, when he came back, did you talk about the car?
Yes. I asked him when he was going to repair it, and he got some glue and tried to glue it twice, and it didn't work. So I did ask him to repair it, and he did not.
When did you ask him to repair it?
Right after it happened.
You lived together in January, is that right?
Yes.
Did he fix the car in January?
No.
What about February? Did he fix the car?
No.
March?
No.
April?
No.
And then we go into May.
Right.
Miss Larome, not everything is a lawsuit, madam. He describes an incident where you took off in a huff and you had his children's car seats in the car. Did that ever happen?
Yes, that happened. But after he knocked the mirror off my car, I took the car seats out and threw them in the yard. So he did get them back.
Well, why didn't you give them back before?
I didn't realize they were in the back seat of my car. That doesn't make it right for him to jump on the hood of my car and break my car mirror.
Absolutely not. You were driving off with his property. And you knew you had his property in the car.
I
You were
did
very
not
angry.
know.
You were very angry. People do things when they get angry. And if you had said, well, I may have been angry, but you had no right to put yourself on the hood of my car, even though I was taking off the property that belongs to you.
Right. I was only going up to the store to use the
Who
phone.
knows? Who cares? He wanted the children's car seats.
Right.
You'd had a fight in front of the children. He wanted to take the children home. It's all a fight. Not everything involves a lawsuit. You behaved badly. He behaved badly. And when you took the car seats out and threw them on the lawn, that also was not the right thing to do.
You're
Right?
You're right.
Okay. So take care of it like grown-ups. Now let's get to the backyard. You say that you had a major argument in May of this year and that he destroyed the backyard. His defense is that he built the backyard so he could destroy the backyard. Is that your defense? So let's hear about the backyard.
As part of a present to me, he built brick planters in my backyard around the deck. I have photos if you'd like to see. And because of the argument that we had that day in June, he destroyed all of it.
I did that, Your Honor. I did.
All right. Did you, in fact, build this brick planter box for
You
her?
betcha.
Or you were in the process of building it? It doesn't look like it's completed.
It wasn't complete yet, but almost.
As a gift?
Your Honor, yeah, it was a gift. It was also the part of like the deck that I built. It was all something to work out for flowers and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the other stuff that I do have a list of things in the course of the time that we were together that I did build in this house.
Can I see it, please?
And around the yard. And I never asked for one penny for any of this when I left. And this is my own hard-earned work, myself, my labor of bringing these materials home from work for this lady. And it was because I enjoyed her and loved her very much. And that's why I did that.
Let me ask you a question. Did he build a playhouse in a shed?
I have a photo of that too, and it is not a playhouse or a shed. It is a big monster that is in my yard.
Did you tell him to take it out? Did you tell him to stop building it when he was building it?
No, he just quit building it. So I have that in my yard.
Okay. Did he build a doghouse?
He put a roof over the top of the doghouse.
He said he built a
dog.
doghouse and then he put a roof on the dog kennel.
Right, for his dog.
Did he build a deck?
Yes, that's in
That's the whole
picture.
back deck?
Right.
Didn't break the deck?
No.
What about a brick fire pit? Did he build that?
Yes.
I see that you did work around the house and you were building things around the house and you do have a deck, correct?
Yes.
You had no right out of anger, sir.
I know.
To smash the work that you did.
You're right, I did.
And so what this involves is cleaning this up.
Right.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to clean up the bricks?
I talked to his former employer, and he said to clean it up and replace it would be $3,000.
No way. He made a mess. He got angry and he made a mess, and he should pay for that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
While I was wrecking it, the officer came into the yard. He asked me what I was doing, and I said I was wrecking something that I spent a lot of good time building for this lady. And you know what? Out of anger, yes, I destroyed it because I was very hurt with the way how things were going.
Well, is it still this
All right.
way?
I told
Yes,
the
it
officer I will come back at any time to clean this mess up. I said, but she is not going to have this in her yard. He said, okay, you come back. She made it very clear that she did not want me to come back and clean
Because
it
she
up.
was angry that you were angry and that you,
Yes, I
you lost your
understand that.
temper, and she doesn't want to deal with that anymore. But at most, if you get somebody to come in, it'll cost you $50 to have somebody
Yeah,
come in
you-
and take all this brick away. They may even do it for nothing, just for the bricks, if you let them take the bricks away. Anything else? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 257 on the calendar in the matter of Lamont versus Williford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Lamont, according to the complaint, the defendant is your ex-boyfriend and you claim that you loaned him some money.
Yes.
Defendant says that you actually owe him money because a while ago you wrecked his car or truck. First, tell me about this truck. You were driving his truck. Under what circumstances?
I believe it was in March of 2000.
Yes.
He drove me to Sacramento to go to court there. And on our way back, I had lived in Sacramento and I received a ticket that I had to go back and pay when I had returned to LA.
Okay.
And on the way back, he asked me to drive so he could sleep. And so I drove. And on the way back, to avoid getting in an accident, I swerved off the road and hit a guardrail.
And there was damage to his car.
Yeah. And he never asked me to fix it.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Cold-hearted. She's lying, Your Honor.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. As long as you are.
We're going to have a problem.
You take any prescribed medication, sir?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no...
Quiet. You take any prescribed medication?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no prescribed medication.
You take any other kind of medication?
No, ma'am.
Then behave yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it that was in this accident?
A Ford Ranger.
What year?
99, I believe.
There came a time when you gave him some money towards having the car fixed, according to you. $1,500?
It actually, because I had wrecked the car and he had never asked me to repay him, I decided that when I got the money that I received in a settlement, that I would take it upon myself to take responsibility for the fact that I did crash his truck, and I gave him $1,500.
Okay, that's not the money that you're suing for.
No.
What money are you suing for?
At the same time that I gave him the $1,500, he also asked to borrow $2,000 because he had gotten into some trouble.
What kind of trouble? Doesn't surprise me.
You know, I don't exactly know, but...
What do you think? Tell me what you think, Miss Lamont.
He had gotten in trouble with the drug dealer.
And he needed $2,000.
Yes.
Did he tell you what would happen to him if he didn't give this drug dealer $2,000?
You know, I could only assume at that time from...
So you gave him the $2,000. That's the money that you're suing for.
That I loaned him, yes.
Now, you had a '99 automobile in the year 2000. Had you purchased it for payments or had you paid cash for it?
I paid payments, ma'am.
So if you made payments on the car, the bank requires that you have insurance.
That's correct.
And did you have the car fixed after it was in the accident?
Yes, ma'am. I have the papers right here to show that.
He didn't have insurance.
What?
He didn't have insurance.
Well,
he didn't have his license.
You weren't even driving. It ain't your car. You don't know.
Don't speak to her. Remember what I said. Mr. Williford tells me he had insurance, which he must do by law if he's got a financed car. Isn't that right, Bert?
That's absolutely right, Judge.
And I assume that if you had a financed car, they allow you to have some sort of a deductible, usually $500. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So you had out-of-pocket expense of $500.
No, that's wrong.
Well, how could it be wrong, sir? That's the way insurance works.
Well, I didn't go through insurance, man, because she was an unlicensed driver, and she had made the promise to me that she was going to pay me back the damage. Here's the estimate from the car.
No.
She was going to
That's
pay
what you
me.
have insurance for, Mr. Williford.
Yeah, but then your insurance claims go up. I gotta pay more per month. It wasn't worth it. I'd rather pay the cash and get it fixed at the dealership.
Is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And that's what your choice was. If you asked the plaintiff to drive your car, and according to you, you knew she was an unlicensed driver, then you took that risk. And if you choose not to go through your insurance, she would certainly be liable for the $500 deductible, because that would have been your out-of-pocket expense. You chose not to do that. Now, in addition to the $1,500 that she gave you to fix the car, you said she gave you another $2,000. What do you claim that was for, Mr. Williford?
I had the $2,000 that she gave me was for fixing my car, a down payment towards the $4,800 total damage. I don't know about no $1,500. I only know about $2,000.
Your Honor, I have the return check
May I see it, please?
It's for $3,100, and also there, and these are the
Well,
statements.
$2,000 and $1,500 does not add up to $3,100. Even I know that.
My money was in my mom's account. Since I had already given him $400, I was only going to give him $1,100 to total $1,500 for what I was giving him, plus the $2,000 he wanted to borrow.
I got you. So to the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Williford had any other trouble with drug dealers?
Probably. That was his lifestyle.
Even when you were together?
I had moved away to Sacramento, and in that time, 6 months period, when I came back, he was a total different person.
Different, not for the better?
No.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Williford?
I'm a musician, ma'am.
You work regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Different studios. I'm recording a demo right now.
Is there any record that you ever made that Bird might have heard of?
A record that I made that Bert might have heard of? No, ma'am, I haven't released anything yet.
So who pays you?
My corporation that I work with, people that I'm talking to.
And what kind of musician are you?
I'm a rapper, man.
Bird and I don't know about that.
Oh, man, you're missing out. You don't know, hip-hop is live.
I know. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse you may step out.
Good. Let's go. Everything's all good, man. I'm taking care of my life. I'm going on. It's all good.
Yeah, I needed to get the money that I helped him out with, and he needs to take responsibility for it.
Probably be a loser.
And now 23-year-old teacher Fernando Medrano is suing the mother of his child, 29-year-old store manager Florangel Reynoso, for the cost of a TV, a VCR, a trip to Florida, and a loan to fix her car. Florangel is countersuing for the cost of furniture and the cost of a bed for their son.
Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 292 on the calendar in the matter of Medrano versus Reynoso.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Medrano, according to the complaint that I have read, the defendant was your girlfriend. You were together for about 1.5 years, and you have a child together. Is that right?
That's accurate.
How old is your child?
He's 3.
You claim that you made a series of small loans to the defendant, and in addition, she owes you for a VCR and television set or something that you put on your credit card. There was an agreement for her to pay you back. She paid you some, didn't pay the rest. You want the rest. The entire sum that she owes you, according to you, is $500. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defendant has a counterclaim, which I quite frankly don't understand. You'll explain it to me. All right, so tell me about these loans, sir. When did you make them and what were they for?
Well, there was $189 that was towards a trip to Florida that I had given her in cash. There was another $150 that fixed the car. There was something wrong with the brakes. And there was another $150 that she didn't pay me, refused to pay me for the TV and VCR that I had purchased for her on my credit card.
Oh. $189 trip to Florida. When was that?
That was approximately in July of last year.
Tell me about that.
Well, she said she wanted to go to Florida.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a joint checking account?
No.
You kept your money separate?
Definitely.
Who paid the rent?
She did.
Whose apartment was it?
It was hers.
Was it furnished when you moved in?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it was her furniture?
Yes.
Who paid the gas and electric?
Yes.
Who?
She did.
What did you pay for?
Well, different things such as the car and expenses, different things.
Well, so far I got the car.
Yeah. Basically the car, Your Honor, to tell you the truth. I maintained it and things like that.
Who bought the car?
It was her car.
You paid for the gas?
Mm-hmm.
You paid for the insurance?
No.
She paid for the insurance?
Yes.
So you paid for the gas. What else did you pay for?
There were repairs on the...
Well, the repairs, sir, you wanted to pay you back for $150. That was the second loan that you say you made to her.
There was more than one repair. Obviously, a car, needs repairs.
Oh, that was your
and
capital
maintenance.
contribution, taking care of the car, is that right? To this household?
Yes.
Perfect. Take care of it. So I just knocked out your car repair loan. So let me hear about the trip to Florida. She wanted to go to Florida, and?
And she spoke to me about it, and
What did she say to you, and what did you say to her?
she said, well, I want to go to Florida, and I think that you should pay for it. And I was like, you know what? I was like, fine, that's great.
Great. So we just knock off the trip to Florida.
Yeah.
And I think you should pay for it, too.
That's great, but,
Good.
you know.
Okay, that's great. Wonderful. Perfect. Now, $150 was for what?
It was for the
VCR.
television VCR.
And how much was the whole television VCR?
$439. However, we agreed that she would give me $500.
Why is that?
That's what she agreed. I didn't ask it for her. She.
So she agreed to give you a tip.
if you want to say that, yeah. If you'd like to say
a tip
that.
of $60. Okay. How much is left to pay on the TV VCR?
Approximately $150.
Show me. You kept the VCR, Miss Reynoso, is that right?
Yes.
And the TV?
Yes.
We'll get to you in a second. Oh. And you made some payments on this, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Tell me, how come you stopped paying?
Well, he has a court order to pay me child support, which he hasn't done in a year.
Inaccurate.
When did you start paying child support, sir?
She had it on ever since I could remember, to be honest with you.
What do you mean, ever since you...
Since the 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 years.
You mean while you were living together, you were paying child support?
I was trying to, because I just graduated school and everything. Well,
I don't care trying. I want to know when you started to pay child support, sir.
I can't give you an exact date, Your Honor.
How much child support do you pay?
It's $60 a week, and I was paying that in sporadic payments because I was also paying for school.
So is it fair to say that you didn't make all your child support payments?
Yes.
Was it fair to say that, let's say you missed 3 payments?
More than that, Your Honor.
More than that?
Yes.
At least $150 worth of payments.
Yes. But the entire thing was I was going to take the money and send it back to her. So she would receive the money, and it would bring down the arrears that I'm currently in.
When were you going to do that?
When I received the money.
And where were you going to get the money from?
From her.
For what?
For the $150 that she owed me. And
get a life. I have no idea what precipitated your bringing this lawsuit, sir. No idea at all. Somebody that owes a substantial amount of money in child support doesn't futz around with $150 that's owed on a TV VCR. You know, you'd find a rock to crawl under someplace, but you don't come out in the open and go into a court to sue for $150 to fix a car that was your sole responsibility while you lived together, $189 for a Florida trip that was clearly a gift when you made it to her.
she spent with her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, I should say.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fernando Medrano says the mother of his child, Florangel Reynoso, owes for a series of loans. Florangel says Fernando hasn't paid child support in over a year.
All right. And Ms. Reynoso, I'm going to hear about your counterclaim now. What's your counterclaim for?
$2,400.
For what?
When we were living together, we made an agreement that we were going to get new furniture. So I had asked him if it was a good time. My cousin wanted to buy the furniture off of me, and if it was a good time to sell it to her. And I asked him quite a few times, and I said, are you sure you're going to get me new furniture? And he said yes. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. That never happened. He left in August, and my living room was empty. I had no furniture.
Get it back from your cousin. What else?
Then I asked him a week ago, 2 weeks ago, to get his son a bed because he's getting too big for the crib, and he refused.
So that's not a lawsuit. You asked him to get a bed, he said no. That's not a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
And that was it. And just clothes that I bought for Jaden since he doesn't help me in anything. But that was it.
Okay, so you know that that's all nonsense. Perfect. So I don't even have to address the fact that your counterclaim is nonsense. And I don't have to address the fact that your claim is nonsense. So your claim is nonsense, you get nothing, you get nothing. What you do get from me is a lecture. How old are you?
29.
And you?
23.
You have one child?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
Just one.
What kind of work do you do?
Substitute teacher.
Do you have a permanent teaching license?
No, that's not my field.
What's your field?
Criminal justice.
Shh. What do you want to do with a criminal justice degree?
I'm interested in going to law school. However, that's not in my reach, in my grasp right now. Trying to get finances together.
Who do you live with now?
I live with my mother.
No, you don't. Not all the time. I say that because there was a slight pause in your answer. I live with my mother. People who live with their mother say, I live at home. Is that your friend?
Long-time friend.
Good. Even he knows you don't live with your mother. Mr. Medrano, you make a baby, you have to support that child.
I agree.
And you can't say, I have things to pay for, I have school, I have other things. If you're a substitute teacher, that means when you're not substitute teaching, you have time. You can do a lot of things. You drive a taxi cab, you drive a livery, you do something to make money.
That's not what I graduated college for.
Oh, sir, I understand that. People do things that they don't necessarily enjoy doing and that they're not necessarily trained to do or aspire to do in the future when they have responsibilities. You created a responsibility, and if no other family court judge has said this to you directly, I'm going to tell you that it is unfair and irresponsible, and long-term is going to be the worst mistake you ever made by not treating the responsibility two of you created as the most important responsibility you have right now. I have worked a lot of jobs that I wasn't trained to do because I had a family to take care of. My husband, for sure, did a lot of jobs because he had children to take care of. Part-time, nights, weekends. Because when you make children, it's your responsibility to see to it that they want for nothing. So grow up and get your act together. Your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her suit was frivolous.
I thought the whole thing was ridiculous and we could have settled it at home.
People do anything, you know, to try to make you look bad and try to get money that they don't really deserve.
People should be responsible, and it's true. When they bring a kid into this world, they should take care of them.
273 on the calendar in the matter of Rosales versus McKean. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Rosales, according to your complaint, the defendant, who was your former boyfriend, and you went on a trip this past summer to Mexico.
Correct.
About a month afterwards, you broke up with, or he broke up with you. It was a mutual thing. I don't know. You broke up. And you claim that he still owes you for some expenses from the trip.
Correct.
He says he does not. How long were you away?
We were away for a month.
How could you get away for a month? You have a good job?
No, I don't have a job. I just saved up money 2 years in advance, and I sold my stock to go on this trip.
Had you been working before you went on the trip?
Yes. My last job ended in November, but I'm a full-time student, so.
Were you working?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in retail management.
And you could take a month off from your job?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, what was the arrangement?
We were going to go away for 1 month, July 10th to August 8th, and I was going to bring my own money. He was going to bring his. I brought $1,000 in traveler's checks and $1,000 in cash. About a week prior to us leaving, he told me he wasn't going to have enough money, and he wanted to know if he could borrow my credit card. And I asked him how he was going to pay for it. He told me that he was going to sell his stock when he returned. I knew that his portfolio had more than max on my credit card, so I knew that he was good for that amount of money. I agreed. We went on the trip, and we pretty much paid for everything 50-50. For like hotels, I would pay for my half in cash. He would pay for his half on the credit card. Everything else was 50-50. We made a conscious effort to do it that way so we wouldn't take each other's money. We came back August 8th. A little bit afterwards, I asked him how his stock was doing. It dropped dramatically, and he told me that because his stock dropped, he didn't have enough money and he wasn't going to pay me.
No. Sarah had been begging me for the last year before we went on the trip. Please, babe, can we go on a trip? I just want to go somewhere this summer.
Don't get dramatic with me. Don't get dramatic.
Anyway, she knew that if I went on a trip for a month, I'd lose a month in pay from work. So before we went on the trip, she knew I couldn't afford.
Don't tell me what she knew. I want you to tell me what you talked about.
I was going to bring some of my own money and pay for whatever I could. And she'd take care of the rest because she knew I couldn't do it otherwise.
No, just a sec. There's a difference between what you believe she knew and what you discussed. Do you understand? So I want to know what discussion you say took place before you went with regard to using her credit card.
Well, it was her credit card, and I wasn't going to be paying for it.
It's a lie.
I was going to pay for whatever I could afford to pay for.
No.
Okay.
With the money I brought.
Don't speak. When did your money run out?
I'd say about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks into the trip.
That sounds unlikely, sir. That means that there were only a few days left that you relied on the credit card. Is that what you're saying?
Well, she was using the credit card.
Let us say you went to a hotel. You stayed in a hotel for 28 days, various hotels. How were the hotels paid for, Mr. McKeon?
I paid for what I could in cash, and she'd charge it on her credit card or pay for it in cash with her money.
So what you're telling me is the hotel bills were, for the most part, paid in cash?
No.
Shh. So how were they paid?
Well, some of it was paid for in cash.
Yes.
I don't really remember.
What about your meals, sir?
I paid for some of the meals and she paid for some of them.
Were any of the meals paid for with a credit card?
Yeah.
How did you contribute to those meals that were paid on the credit card?
Well, she would pay for those because I'd pay for a meal one day or for lunch, and she'd pay for a meal for dinner.
So what you're saying, Mr. McKean, is that for the vast majority of this trip, you paid your own way?
Yeah, definitely.
That's not what you say in your answer, Mr. McKean, that you signed and that you swore to. You said, I had very limited money. She really wanted to go and offered to pay for all the accommodations and any additional expenses incurred on the trip. All I could afford to pay for was my plane ticket and some spending money. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yeah, but...
Well, that's what you swore to, sir. And I assume that when you wrote this answer, you reflected on it, and in this answer you said you paid for your plane ticket and brought some spending money, but that she had agreed to pay for all of your accommodations and any other additional expenses on the trip. Now, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that's true, Your Honor.
So you did not pay with your money for 3.5 weeks when you were on the trip. And then, as you just told me a moment ago, just a few days we used on her credit card. That wasn't true.
No, I helped out when
now
I
let me
could.
see. Now let me see your bills.
There's a breakdown, and also I have, this is one of the payments that was made. He made 2 payments to me. He made one payment to me of $40 so I could repay my mother back.
50.
Your Honor, that was just
and
to help
another
her
payment
out.
of
I was just trying to help her
and
out.
another payment of $50 that I paid to the credit card.
Your Honor, she told me that after the trip, she'd get a part-time job and make payments on the credit card,
How
and it wouldn't
can
be
I
a
when
problem.
No, don't speak to him. I want to hear him. GB, I want to hear him. Go ahead, let me hear.
She told me that after the trip, she'd get a part-time job to cover the expenses, to pay the credit card debt off, and it wouldn't be a problem. And then when we got back, she started asking me for money. Please help me with this, you know, I can't afford to pay this. And I said, well, you were going to get a job.
How much do you earn at your job?
Approximately $800 a week.
You support anyone other than yourself?
No.
You have an apartment?
Yeah.
You pay rent?
Yeah, I have roommates, so.
Good. What's your share of the rent?
About $600.
I never heard anybody describe their rent as about $600.
You either know it or you don't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sarah Rosales says ex-boyfriend Sean McKean promised to pay his share of a month-long vacation in Mexico.
Right.
My witness here, my roommate, she heard him say that he was going to pay for it.
He's going to pay for it. Go away on a vacation for a month. You don't go away with any money.
I did bring money.
Did you bring just a second, did you bring a credit card?
No.
Why not?
I don't have a credit card.
Why not?
I don't like credit cards.
What do you like?
I've run up debt before.
What?
I've just had bad experiences with credit cards. I don't like them.
You have stocks.
Yeah.
Stocks are good.
Not lately.
I understand that. So you don't like to sell the stocks when they're down, except when you owe money.
I don't owe money.
Yeah, you do.
Whatever.
Yeah, you do. But you have a problem, Ms. Rosales, and I'm going to tell you what your problem is. It's clear to me the following. You went away with $2,000. You say his portion of these bills, which total together are $3,300.
Correct.
That would mean that if you double that, it would be $6,600.
Yes, he also purchased things on my credit card just for himself. He bought himself a surfboard. When we went to Chichen Itza to climb the pyramids, he bought like $200 in souvenirs. I have a list of things that I know for sure that he bought for himself. He bought swim trunks. He bought just different things for himself that I didn't buy.
Did you buy anything on these credit cards, sir, just for your own personal use?
I bought a pair of swimming trunks, yeah.
What about a surfboard?
Yeah, I bought a surfboard because it would have been cheaper to buy a surfboard than rent one at the place we were at.
How much was it?
It was like $200.
No, it was $388.59. This is just of what I know that he bought for sure. There's other souvenirs that he has his whole room's full of souvenirs. I mean, he bought all of Mexico.
Well, on the credit card?
Yes, like he bought the surfboard at the hotel. So it
I
looks
see.
like a hotel stay, like that we stayed there, but he bought it there. Swim trunks, souvenirs is also.
Sounds to me, if you don't have enough money, sir, that you watch surfboarding on TV instead of paying $388 for a surfboard.
That's no fun, though, Your Honor.
I didn't have enough money to buy myself
Miss
souvenirs.
Rosales.
So, sorry.
Yes, you
Miss
did.
Rosales,
You
you
bought
do not-
$2,000.
Shh. Hey, he owes you money.
Yeah.
However, you don't escape without a tongue lashing. If you're being stupid, don't expect me to be sympathetic. You don't give a boyfriend a credit card. Ever. No way. Nothing. You don't give anybody a credit card, especially somebody that you are not related to by blood or marriage or committed to by virtue of an engagement. Even then, it's dumb and stupid. So you don't get any awards for brains.
I understand that, but I have loaned him money before and he's paid me back, so I had no reason not to trust him.
But I don't know how much he owes you.
It's $3,305.
I don't know her anything.
And 2 cents.
Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. I guarantee you, as good as you think you were on this trip, you weren't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wanted the money because she bit off more than she could chew.
I'm just ecstatic that she didn't believe him.
Pretty girls get away with everything. Justice was not served.
He's so full of it. He's just unbelievable.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Holiday, Presley versus Llewellyn. Step forward, please.
30-year-old court collector Laura Holliday and 20-year-old Autumn Presley are suing 23-year-old cashier Erica Llewellyn for attorney's fees resulting from a false police report. Erica claims Laura and Autumn keyed her car.
Who is Miss Halliday?
I am.
And Miss Priestley, that's...
Presley.
Presley? Mm-hmm. Okay. According to your complaint, you believe that the defendant falsely accused you of keying her car, as a result of which you were arrested, had to hire an attorney, and ultimately, I assume, found not guilty. And you want her to pay the attorney's fees and some small amount for harassment. The defendant says she believes she had good cause to notify the police of your involvement in vandalizing her car. So the first thing I have to know is, how do you ladies know each other?
My husband has a son with her.
Your husband has a child with the defendant?
Correct.
How long are you married?
3 years.
How old is your child?
He'll be 4 in February.
And you?
A child also with her husband.
And you have a child with her husband?
Her husband.
With her husband? And how old is your child?
She will be 4 in March.
He must have been very busy 4 years ago. Do you have any children with him?
No.
Okay, so that's how you know each other. Each of you have 4-year-olds with her husband.
Yes.
And you two are friends.
Mm-hmm.
When did this alleged incident of vandalizing your car take place?
In between the dates of March 16th and to the 18th of 2001.
On the 16th, the car was okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you find on the 18th?
I had really bad key marks on both sides of my car. I had it on the trunk and on the hood.
Can I see pictures of it? Do you have pictures?
I do not have pictures.
Okay. Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I assume there's no question that you contacted the police and gave the police at some point the plaintiffs' names as the perpetrators of this act of
Yes,
vandalism. When did you do that? How much after the incident?
Almost a week.
It was on the 26th of March.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what happened on the 26th of March that suggested to you that the two plaintiffs were responsible for the damage?
My next door neighbor, I hadn't talked to her within that week. Came over.
Told you something?
Yeah.
Is your next door neighbor here?
No, she's not.
Well, that's interesting because your testimony with regard to that would be hearsay. However, there are certain exceptions to the hearsay rule. And one of those exceptions is, if I don't take it for the truth of the statement, but merely that it was said to you that caused you to do something else, which in this case would be to call the police, I can hear what she told you and then make a determination myself as to whether or not she actually told it to you.
Okay.
Not whether she saw it, but whether she told it to you. All right, so you had a conversation with your neighbor. Tell me what your neighbor said to you.
She told me that Saturday night that she seen a white Jeep parked across the street And she sat there and watched them for a little bit, and she said she seen them walk over and keep my car and then take off laughing.
Did she describe the people?
She did describe the people. She actually said they were both white. She said that they had long hair and they were a little bit thick, or well, I don't know how to explain it, but they were bigger women.
Do you have any police reports?
These are the copies of what she has. It's her statement.
She didn't give me anything but one sheet of paper. Okay. Is there any interview in this police report from your neighbor?
No, the neighbors, none of her witnesses showed up in the court either that dismissed the case.
My neighbor is extremely sick.
That doesn't prevent the police from going and taking a statement.
Right. When I told them who it was and where she was, they did not even take any kind of initiative to talk to her.
I have a statement from the car dealership. My car was in the shop the week of the 15th to the 20th.
Let me see. So you actually never went to trial in this case?
No.
To whom it may concern, this Jeep Cherokee was at Extreme Auto Credit Inc. for repairs. Did you show this to the police?
The police never contacted us. We gave it to our attorney.
Yeah. Now, what would make you think that these two, other than this statement, which I find difficult to believe because the fact that this alleged witness who told you about what she saw couldn't come to this court today, there's certainly no reason why this witness couldn't go to a local court, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
she's extremely sick.
Well, maybe she's too sick to see what she said she saw. What would make you think that these two women would do such a thing to your car?
I've had problems with Miss Halliday for years, and just this year I just started having problems with Miss Priestley.
Why would you have problems with them?
I've been back and forth in court for like the last 4 years because
what?
she's taken me to court for stuff that she has said I've done that I haven't.
Like what?
Like judgments. She's took me to court for trying to get restraining orders against me several times.
Yeah.
She stated that I stalked her and all this, and I've never stalked her.
Couple of basic questions. Put your papers down. Did you ladies know each other before you had this mutual Don Juan? What's his name, by the way, your husband?
Ernie.
Ernie. Before Ernie, did you ladies know each other?
No.
So it would be fair to say that any disputes that you've had, and I assume that there have been some negative feelings about children, child support, visitation, seeing all these children, that without Ernie, you would not have any problems with each other. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, probably.
Do these children visit Ernie?
Yeah, Ernie has full custody of 2 of them.
Of both of these children?
No. He had joint with her. We have a custody trial coming up in April.
So the child lives with
me.
You. And what about your child?
Mine lives with him.
Lives with Ernie? And lives with you?
Correct.
For how long?
About a year now.
Ernie has other children?
Yes.
How many more children does Ernie have?
Ernie has 5 children.
Ernie has 5. She says 6.
By 5 different people. We also had I was with Ernie for 6 years before them two had got together, and we had a daughter together that unfortunately passed away.
That was the 6th,
Yes,
I assume that you're talking about. You think you're going to stay with Ernie forever?
I don't know.
If I were an odds maker, I would say no. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of advice. You didn't ask me for it, but you're here, and you're a captive audience, so I'm going to tell you. You're making a fool over yourselves, each of you, for somebody that's probably not worth being a doormat for you to wipe your feet on.
I agree.
I mean, the fact that you got snookered in by this thing for some periods of time, for 4 years, for 5 years, for a year, it's a mistake. But to be involved in litigation, to be involved in harassing each other, just ridiculous. Don't you agree? You got to put a stop to it.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
We tried at one point. We were getting along at one point, and I loaned her money to get her license back and such, and she never paid me back. That's what one of the court cases was about.
She never gave me a chance to pay her back.
Whatever. So it seems to me, this sounds almost like a communal marriage. Listen, you all don't have to really like each other. The fact that you have this common thread in Ernie is unfortunate, but it doesn't make you family. I mean, I assume you have to go over there to pick up your child who Ernie has custody of. Do you have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many other children?
I have 2 other children.
Where do they live?
With me.
Well, why does this child live with Ernie?
Because Ernie has custody of her.
Did you voluntarily give Ernie custody of the 4-year-old?
Yes, I did.
Why would you do that?
Because we were going through court at the time, and they were trying to have me pay for something that I shouldn't have been paying for
Like
when...
what?
I think it was from when she was born, and he just took over the responsibility to pay the bill. So, in order for him to take over the bill, he had to have custody.
Come on, you're being a little obtuse here. Give it to me straight.
That's
no,
why he got custody.
No.
Yes.
No. You mean if he pays the bill, he gets custody? That's why they gave him custody? Was that your contract with him? Was that your agreement with him?
No, it wasn't a contract.
Bunch of wackos. You're all a bunch of wackos. You have no case. She probably had grounds to call in a report that she believed that you had damaged her car. The fact that your car may have been in the shop, may not have been in the shop, that also was hearsay, by the way, the letter that you gave me. And you probably have done the same thing to her. How many times have you been to court with her?
I went to court with her a few times. One time was when she kicked in my door and came at me with a butcher knife. The other time was when the police had to remove her from my property. So
you've been involved a few times with each other.
Yes, ma'am. That was the same day that she was talking.
Listen, you want to make fools over yourselves.
I don't.
With regard to Ernie's tentacles, you're going to continue to do that.
I have
and I
nothing to
can't
do with
help you,
Ernie.
but we certainly aren't going to reward you. Case is dismissed.